According to the Fallout Wiki, there are approximately 191 quests in Fallout 4, with an additional 81 quests if you take the different DLCs into consideration. With there being so many quests in the game, some are bound to be better than others, so I decided to rank each one of them from worst to best. But before we get into this video, I need to clarify some stuff. First of all, any repeatable, radiant, or miscellaneous quests will not be ranked. This is mostly because both of the repeatable and radiant quests can be done multiple times in a single playthrough, and I want to focus more on the main and side quests rather than the ones that only exist as a way to earn XP. As for the miscellaneous quests, some of them tends to lead to actual quests, while others are relatively very short, so I don't think a lot of you would mind me leaving them out of this video. Secondly, I will not be including quests that are specific to the Creation Club, which for this video also includes the quest added with the next gen update. This is mostly because getting stuff from the Creation Club costs actual money, and I'm gonna keep it $1.50 with you. I ain't gonna go and buy these packs that I otherwise wouldn't care about. And thirdly, this should be pretty obvious, this is entirely my own list, so anything that you're about to hear and see are just my own opinions. If you disagree with me in any way, feel absolutely free to share your own thoughts and maybe your own rankings down below in the comments. And so with that said, let's get to it. Because of the whole no radiant, repeatable, or most miscellaneous quests rule I'm implementing, we are looking at a total of 168 quests to rank. 168. Star Control. Star Control requires you to power up the mainframe in the Galactic Zone theme park by finding 25 of the 35 missing star cores. Fortunately, these 25 star cores are found within the Galactic Zone walkways and the different attractions. After finding the required star cores, just install them to the mainframe, assign one of the Nuka World gangs to Galactic Zone, and that is the quest done. Now, Fallout 4 is no secret to having some really bad or just really unfun quests, but I genuinely believe that Star Control is the only quest in the game I have absolutely no enjoyment when doing it. Yes, I would much rather do Cappy in a Haystack, Best Left Forgotten, and Home Sweet Home twice over more than Star Control just one time. The only real good thing about Star Control I can say is that if you're a fan of modifying robot parts, you can acquire pretty much all of the Nuka World robot mods from different robots you need to kill in the Galactic Zone. But other than that, this is my least favorite quest in the game. 167. The Memory Den. One of the more secret quests in the game, if you decide to head over to Good Neighbor before going to Diamond City and take a quick visit to the Memory Den, you can persuade Irma into allowing you to use one of the Memory Lounger and relive your memories. And by memories, we mean the only one we actually have, which happens to be the death of our spouse and the kidnapping of Sean. After this section is over, Irma will apologize for not realizing what type of memory you would relive, but suggests that you go and check up with a detective named Nick Valentine, located in Diamond City. This will then end the Memory Den quest and start the Jewel of the Commonwealth quest. Even as a fun secret quest in the game, there really is no point of traveling a much further distance away from Diamond City to learn about Nick Valentine, as that is one of the first things you'll learn about when arriving in Diamond City. Not a hard quest, but also just not worth it. 166. Revile. Upon leaving Fort Hagen during the Reunions quest, the Pridwin will make its appearance and pretty much add the Brotherhood of Steel to the game. If you have avoided doing the fire support quest up until this point, then you'll be given the Revile quest. It's a fairly simple one. All you have to do is visit the Boston airport where the Pridwin will be located, talk to any member of the Brotherhood, and they'll basically tell you off and go do the fire support quest. When you go and get near enough to the Cambridge police station where Paladin Dance and his group is, the Revile quest will complete. Outside of getting a mere 300 XP from this quest, there really is no reason to not go to the police station the moment the opportunity strikes. Plus, you could get the Revile quest early enough in the game, which means that if you choose to do it, you have a fair amount of distance to actually walk. 165. Burning Cover. If you were to blow your cover during the Underground Undercover quest and become an enemy with the Institute, this quest will activate. All you have to do is head over to the Railroad's hideout, talk to Desdemona, and then talk to Preston Garvey to ask him for support. That's it. It's very short and nothing offensive, it's just, well, what's more to say? 164. Inside Job. If you build a signal interceptor with the Minutemen, Sturgis will task you with infiltrating the Institute's computer network with the usage of a network scanner holotape. Once you are inside the Institute, just hook the holotape up to any terminal, download the data, and once you have the ability to do so, return to Sturgis and hand him the holotape. Again, a very simple quest that isn't anything super exciting. 163, Precious Metals. If you speak to Nera in Nuka World, she'll give you a task to find all of the 7 park medallions located at various locations within the Nuka World parks. These medallion dispensers can be found at the Nuka Racers and the Ferris wheel located in the Kitty Kingdom, outside of the Nuka-Cola bottling plant in the World of Refreshment, inside Cappy's treehouse in Safari Adventures, next to the gift shop counter inside Mad Mulligan's mine in Dry Rock Gulch, at the end of the Vault-Tec exhibit inside Vault-Tec Among the Stars, and lastly at the exit ramp inside the Nuka Galaxy. Once you've found all 7 and collected your medallions, head back to Nera, who will reward you with a whopping 75 XP plus 3 Nuka-Cola flavored drinks. For the amount of time this quest could take you to finish it, it's really not worth the rewards. 162, Home Sweet Home. I just want to take a second here and let you all realize that of the 4 DLCs that features quests, Nuka World isn't only ranked in the lowest points for me, but in fact 3 quests that DLC has. Home Sweet Home is the quest where you first have to establish a gang outpost in the Commonwealth, then you have to force a settlement to provide supply for your gang, then you have to go back and defend the initial outpost from a raider group, then you have to build stuff in the outpost to make the gang located there happier, and then you need to go and claim another gang outpost, and then you have to claim yet another gang outpost, and then the quest is done. Now, doing all of this isn't exactly difficult, but what makes this quest so unbelievably annoying is 2 things. Number 1 is the fast travels back and forth from Nuka World in order to talk to Shank, who will provide you with these jobs. The multiple fast travels and snore-inducing loading times doesn't make anything more fun. I know that eventually Shank can be placed in one of the outposts to save you from fast traveling, but still. And the second reason is that, to be completely honest, these gang outposts don't mean jack. What you get from doing the quest, including the 500 XP, is the rank 2 of the Wasteland Warrior perk, which unlocks raider dealers for your outpost, and you can also obtain 3 unique grenade and 1 chem recipe by talking with some of the different gang affiliated characters, if you are into those too. Overall, not an entirely fun quest. 161, Tour of Duty. After having a chat with Elder Maxson for the first time, you'll be tasked to go around and meet 4 other crew members aboard the Prydwen. These includes Knight Captain Cade, Proctor Quinlan, Proctor Tegan, and Proctor Ingram. Now, to keep things short, the first 3 I named serve very little to no importance to the Brotherhood side of the game's story, besides maybe Quinlan for something that we'll get into much later on, but Proctor Ingram, on the other hand, is basically to Elder Maxson what Sturgis is to Preston Garvey. Also, this might be controversial to say, but I really believe that she might be the best Brotherhood character in the game. Yes, over characters like Dance and... yeah, anyway, after skipping through these Brotherhood of Steel members' dialogues, the quest is finished and you're rewarded with 300 XP, and that's about it. Very simple quest where you travel short distances between each characters just to talk to them, and that's that. 160, Form Ranks. By completing the Inside Job quest and after becoming enemies with the Institute, the Form Ranks quest will activate, which requires you to talk to Preston about the absolute state of the Minutemen. As a response, Preston tells you to go and recruit 8 different settlements for the Minutemen. Now, if you already have 8 settlements by this point, the quest will be skipped over. But if you do recruit the 8 settlements while this quest is active, you will then have to fast travel to the castle and help defend it from the Institute. Form Ranks is a quest that most people will complete either without much trouble or, well, by not activating at all, since most people would have recruited a fair amount of settlements by this point. 159, The Glowing Sea. After having looked inside Kellogg's brain, we learn about a runaway Institute scientist by the name of Virgil, who escaped into the Glowing Sea section of the Commonwealth. This quest requires you to travel the Glowing Sea, find where Virgil is located and talk to him, in hopes that he'll help you find a way into the Institute. He will then tell you about using something called a Courser ship, which will allow you to gain access to the Institute via a signal interceptor. You'll then go out, ready to hunt the Courser, and the quest ends. Now, Virgil hasn't exactly been a fan favorite character of mine. To be honest, I think he's kind of a meh character. But the thing I like the least about this quest, and I'm sure you already guessed it, it's traveling the glowing sea. Now, I didn't mention this, but the glowing sea gets its name from the fact that it is completely irradiated, making you take radiation damage over time. It's no big deal if you got some radaways or radex or wear something that prevents radiation damage, but the walk itself is also just quite boring. 158. Hunting the Hunter. Speaking of the courser ship, if you acquire one during the Hunter Hunted quest and you head over to Acadia in Far Harbor, talking with Degen will start the Hunting the Hunter quest. Basically, Degen will tell you that there's an institute courser near Acadia that you have to track down and kill before they discover Acadia. You'll do exactly that, then return back to Degen and you'll be rewarded with 400 XP plus a special 20% discount on Degen's sales. A very simple, relatively short quest that only really exists for the XP, though the discount is a nice bonus. 157. Best Left Forgotten. And now we've come to one of the more infamous terrible quests in the Fallout series. Best Left Forgotten is the rather hated Retrieve Dima's Memories quest. After discovering Acadia and meeting the place's leaders, you'll also interact with Kasumi, who is the main reason why you're in Far Harbor to begin with, who says she believes she is a synth. After some back and forth, she tells her that she thinks there's a secret behind Acadia. You'll then acquire Faraday's program and then head over to the Nucleus. Once inside, you'll have to find the Nucleus Command Center, find Dima's terminal, and use said terminal to gain access to his memories. And now, here is where the next 30 or so minutes of complete boredom comes in. Through these sections, you have to retrieve 5 of Dima's memories, with each stage being a little bit more puzzling as it goes on. Through his memories, we learn about some wind farm kill switch code, a nuclear launch key, a shipment of marine combat armor, and Dima's secret medical facility located within the Wind Pop factory. Once you've gotten the 5 memories, you can leave the terminal and go get these different items with the launch key and the kill switch code leading to the Cleansing the Land quest, and uncovering Dima's facility leading to the Way Life Should Be quest. Now really, the only reason most people hate this quest as much as they do, it's because of the memory sections. While I do agree that these parts are painfully unfun, having played this so many times before, I've kinda gotten used to it and have pretty much gotten down exactly how the puzzles works. Still though, I am ranking it pretty low just based on the fun factor. 156. Vault 75. If you head over to the Malden Middle School and enter the basement of the school, you'll discover a open vault numbered 75. From here, you can enter an elevator and you'll be taken lower down into the vault. Here you'll come across hostile synths and gunners, and if you can get through them, you can traverse a maze or something. Yeah, I don't really like this quest. I get very easily lost in this vault, and the different keycards you have to find in order to gain access to the different areas are also nothing short of lame. The only reason I can see people going out of their way to do this quest is because of the science bobblehead that can be found, as it's required for the bobblehead achievements. You can also find this Grognak comic if you see this quest through and have an expert lockpicking skill, which is fine, I guess. But yeah, once you've gotten the bobblehead achievements, you really have no reason to seek this place out. 155. Sanctuary. After Preston and his gang moves into Sanctuary, you can talk to Sturgis in order to help him. For this quest, all you have to do is construct enough beds for everyone, plant enough food, a water source, and some defense. Once you have done these, you can let Sturgis know and he'll thank you for your help. This quest only really exists to teach people about the whole settlement side of things when it comes to workshopping. Nothing bad or difficult, just kinda okay. 154. Data Recovery. When you visit Acadia for the first time, you can help out some of the leaders in order to gain their trust. Faraday will need you to travel to the Southwest Harbor and retrieve some storage drivers, of which there are only 2. Just pick them up, head back to Acadia, talk to Faraday, and that's the quest. Very simple, nothing more to add. 153, Butcher's Bill 2, and 152, Butcher's Bill. I'm just gonna lump these two together since they're basically the same type of quest. In these two quests, Dr. Carrington will request you to seek out the status of Augusta's safe house in Butcher's Bill and a railroad agent by the name of Blackbird in Butcher's Bill 2. However, when you go and check up on both of them, the safe house has been destroyed and Agent Blackbird is dead. After making these discoveries and finding some evidence to share with Dr. Carrington, the quests are done. Again, simple quests. 151. Amoral Combat. After becoming the overboss of Nuka World, you'll occasionally be tasked with participating in some fights, similar to what you did with Coulter. Once you decided to step into the arena, just kill your opponent and that's a quest. You can do this quest 8 times I believe, so while it can be considered a repeatable quest and therefore shouldn't be on the list, I decided to keep it in as I'm pretty sure you can't do this quest beyond 8 times. But yeah, a relatively short quest that is just alright. 150. Pinned. Once you complete the Mass Fusion quest, Sean would tell you about a man named T.S. Wallace, a wastelander that could have helped the Institute with the reactor. Unfortunately for us, Wallace had himself barricaded in his home when the Institute tried to get him to join them and call for backup from either the Minutemen or the Gunners, depending on what quest you haven't done yet. Once you've taken care of the backup, head inside Wallace's house and begin negotiating with him. Once you manage to pass some speech checks with him, or you simply don't, eventually Wallace will be taken to the Institute and thus ends the quest. You'll have pretty little to no problems with this quest as it's mostly just speech checks. 149. Outside the Wire. This is pretty much the exact same as Inside Job, but instead of giving a network scanner to Sturgis, you give it to Proctor Ingram as you're siding with the Brotherhood. So basically everything I said about Inside Job applies to this quest as well. This one is slightly ranked higher because, I don't know, Proctor Ingram is actually a good character, I guess. 148. Mercer's Safe House. Mercer's Safe House is a special type of settlement quest for the railroad that leads to other Radiant quests, but we're only counting the Mercer Safe House one for this. After getting to know the railroad, Pam will ask you to travel to a potential settlement and secure it, build some defenses at said settlement, travel back to Pam, talk to her, and the quest is finished. Another very simple quest. 147. Fire Support. While traveling near Lexington and College Square, you'll pick up a military radio frequency that leads directly to Cambridge Police Station. Upon arriving there, 3 members of the Brotherhood of Steel are found fending off against a wave of ghouls, to which you can join in and support them. After killing the ghouls, Paladin Dance will talk to you, thanking you for your support and ask you if you would like to support the Brotherhood. Saying yes will continue the Brotherhood of Steel branch in the Fallout 4 story. It is a nice little quest you can do, even if you don't intend on siding with the Brotherhood. 146. Institutionalized. This quest activates after you gain access to the Institute. Use the elevator to meet Synth's child Sean and then the real Sean. After talking with you for a bit, you can either accept or decline his offer to join the Institute. If you decline his offer, you're forced to leave the Institute, ending the quest. However, if you say yes to join, then you'll be tasked to go around and talk with the other division leaders of the Institute. These include Ali Fillmore, Clayton Holdren, Madison Lee, and Justin Ayo. Very similar to Tour of Duty, it's simple, so nothing special about this one. 145. Imogen Takes a Lover. As the second quest in the trilogy of the Cabot family questline, Imogen Takes a Lover requires you to find the location of Imogen Cabot and get her back home. You are told to travel to Goodneighbor and talk to the bartender at the third rail, but I'm gonna save you and me some time and just tell you that she will always be located at the Shawsview Amphitheater. Since it's occupied by the pillars of the community cult, you're either gonna have to convince Brother Thomas through a speech check for him to free Imogen, or fight your way through and force her out. After which she'll tell you she will be going home, but by herself. You'll then travel back to the Cabot house and talk to Jack Cabot, ending the quest. This quest really shouldn't give you much trouble, even if you fail the skill check. 144. The Trial of Brother Devon. Talking to Ceolad Ware, he will explain that one of the other Children of Adam members, known as Brother Devon, has been fasting and only been drinking irradiated water for days in the hope to get a sign from Adam. Ware will ask you to basically tell him to stop doing exactly that, to which you'll happily oblige. Luckily, Brother Devon is found not too far away within the nucleus, so just head over to him and talk with him. From here, you can either pass a speech check to convince him to stop, or you'll have to dress up in some Child of Adam rags and a sack hood while having raised your radiation level to at least 75% so that you can trick Brother Devon into stopping. Once that is done, go talk to Ware again and he'll thank you by providing you with some homebrew Ware's brews along with its recipe. Outside of Ware providing these brews, the recipe is the only other way to get some of Ware's brews. It is cool that the game rewards you with a special consumable that is actually pretty good. Outside of that though, very easy quest. 143. Dangerous Minds. After killing Kellogg and discussing your findings with Piper and Valentine, Nick gets the idea to travel to the memory den in Good Neighbor so that Dr. Amari can basically allow you to traverse through Kellogg's memories with the assistance from Nick. After entering Kellogg's memories, you will explore it, coming across different memories in Kellogg's life, such as one from his childhood, another one where he offers his services to the Institute, and lastly how exactly Sean was taken by the Institute. Following this last memory, you can leave Kellogg's mind and share what you learned with Dr. Amari. Having learned about Virgil through the memories, it is suggested you go and pay him a visit in the glowing sea, and that's where Dangerous Minds ends after your conversation with Amari. Also, Nick will be sitting upstairs waiting for you, and if you try to talk with him, he will sound exactly like Kellogg for a second before turning back to Nick. It's a real shame that this was never brought up again, like ever, because I feel like Kellogg finding a place inside Nick's head would have been a cool idea. Anyway, this quest is kinda boring, so that's that. 142, Powering Up. After getting T.S. Wallace to come help the Institute, Sean will request you to record a speech that will be broadcasted through the Diamond City radio. After recording the speech, you'll then travel to Diamond City, enter Travis's shack, and reconfigure the transmitter. Once done with that, travel back to Sean, who will be waiting in the reactor room, and talk to him. He will give you the honor of installing the beryllium agitator into the reactor and activate it. After speaking with Sean one more time, you'll then attend the Directorate meeting and decide that the Brotherhood should be destroyed. When the meeting is done, the quest will finish. Powering Up is a simple, non-challenging quest that is fun during the speech recordings, and the rest plays out how the game wants. 141, Semper Invicta. Once you have helped Dance at the Cambridge police station, you'll be tasked to support the recon team. Talk to both Reese and Hallan and do the quest you're given called Cleansing the Commonwealth and Quarter Mastery respectively. These two are Radiant quests, so they're not going to be accounted for this listing, but once you've done these quests at least once, you can return to Dance, report your missions as done, and that's Semper Invicta done. It is a fine quest that only finishes once you've done the Radiant quests as I listed. 140, Search and Destroy, and 139, Forbidden Knowledge. Putting these two together since they pretty much play out the same way. If you sided with either the Brotherhood or the Institute and you discover Acadia for the first time, you are given the option to inform either factions about Acadia's existence and the synth refuge located there. After doing some quests for Dima and Acadia as a result, you can meet up with either Institute members or Brotherhood members a little distance away from Acadia and launch an attack on the place. If you're with the Brotherhood, Search and Destroy will activate and you'll need to kill all those at Acadia. But if you're with the Institute, Forbidden Knowledge will start and only require you to kill some of the inhabitants. Those who can't be killed, such as Dima and the differently named Sims, will instead be taken to the Institute. They're both pretty much the exact same quests, so all I can say about them is that they're fine, but not the best options in my opinion if you want to enjoy Far Harbor to its fullest degree. 138, Explore Vault 88. After helping Overseer Barstow with having people join Vault 88, you'll be tasked to go through the remnants of Vault 88 and turn on 3 different Vault Tech workshops located within the north, east, and northeast sections of Vault 88. Along the way, you'll come across different enemy types, such as ghouls, mirelurks, mole rats, and even a hidden legendary Deathclaw. This quest is one of those that I don't really like for the simple fact that there is a lot of just walking from one section to another, but I don't think this is necessarily a terrible quest, just kind of fine for the most part. 137, Cappy in a Haystack. If you're one of those people who didn't believe that Best Left Forgotten was the worst quest in the game, chances are you believe this one is. Cappy in a Haystack is a quest given by Sierra Petrovita in Nuka World where you basically have to find out what the mystery code word for Brad Bird's office is in order to enter and claim your epic prize. This quest requires you to travel to different parts of the Nuka World Park, very similarly to precious metals, but instead of collecting medallions, you collect these little cappies. When you find one, just press E on them and they'll be considered found. Find all 10 hidden cappies, then return to Sierra, and you'll finally gain access to Brad Burton's office. From here, you have to find a hidden button that will reveal an elevator you can take, which leads directly into a hidden vault, and the occupant is that of Brad Burton himself, or what's left of him at least. After some back and forth, you'll eventually have the option to either kill Brad Burton at his request, or keep him alive at Sierra's request. If you keep him alive, you'll be rewarded with a Nuka World jumpsuit that gives you +1 to intelligence and perception. But if you kill Brad Burton, you'll be awarded with this Nuka Nuke launcher, something that Brad Burton had gotten made in secret. Now, when people talk about bad quests and mentions capping a haystack, most people will tell you it is because of finding the different cappies, which is fair, but as someone who has played this quest multiple times, I memorized all of the cappy locations, so no biggie for me. It's still entirely not a fun quest, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's that big of a deal, you know? 136, Banished from the Institute. This one explains itself. If you do anything that causes you to become enemies with the Institute, such as declining Sean's offer, tell him off after the Battle of Bunker Hill, or by killing the Institute members, you'll be banned from entering the Institute and this quest begins, and almost ends immediately. It is one of the shortest possible quests in the game, if not the shortest, so I really got nothing much else to say. 135, The Price of Memory. After completing data recovery, you'll get a quest called The Price of Memory. The quest first wants you to talk to Jewel, a synth living in Acadia, who seems to be suffering from realistic nightmares as a result from a botched mind wipe by the Institute. She will hand you a key thinking that it might be tied to whatever she's suffering from. After you chat with her, you'll speak to Cog, another synth living at Acadia, and he suggests you head back to the boat where you got Faraday's data from and use the key on the chest found on the same boat. The key works on unlocking the chest, and inside it you can find Victoria's note. The note suggests that something is hidden on Faraday's terminal, and if you travel back and check his terminal, you'll find an entry titled Reconstruction Surgery 009. From here we learn about Jewel. Once you made your discoveries, you can tell either Cog or Jewel about her past, you can turn in the quest and get one of the two rewards depending on who you talk to. Turning the quest in by talking to Cog will give you the crippling sledgehammer melee weapon, and talking to Jewel will give you the unyielding synth chest piece, which is one of the only instances in the game where a legendary armor has the guaranteed unyielding effect. This quest is an alright, somewhat fun quest, I guess. 134, Safari Adventure. When you enter the Safari Adventure part for the first time, presumably while doing the Grand Tour quest, you'll be approached by Cito, a man who we soon learn grew up with gorillas. He'll ask you to help him take care of the gator claws and find out what's been causing their creation. Through the quest, we learned that the gator claws were products of some cloning machine that we eventually find after we discover a way to said machine. After searching for the passcode needed, you'll enter a lab at the terminal where you have to disable the cloning. Once that is done, you'll then have to just clear out the rest of the gator claws, and after doing so, you can either convince Cito and his family to move out, or let one of your Nuka World gangs move in. Or you can just kill him. Once you've dealt with Cito, erect a flag for a gang you once living in Safari Adventure, and the quest concludes. I think my main gripe with this quest is that not only is this just kind of a boring quest, Cito is also just not a great character. Not necessarily bad or anything, but he's not someone who would make most people's top favorite Fallout characters, you know. 133, A World of Refreshment. Similar to Safari Adventure, a World of Refreshment requires you to head over to the Nuka-Cola bottling plant and clear out both the exterior and interior of the area. Once you finish off the Nuka-Lurk Queen, erect a flag for one of the gangs and the quest is finished. This is yet another one of those go here and kill some stuff and then you're done type of quests, which isn't terrible, it's just okay. 132, A House Divided. Newton Oberly, a Institute scientist in charge of housing and provisions, will let you know that Max Loken and Loris Higgs, two fellow scientists, have locked themselves in the bioscience lab and have cut off the Institute's food supply in protest of Sean deciding that you are his successor. With help from Newton, you can find your way to the observation room and use the terminal in there to access the command function. After fighting your way through some lazy turrets and sims, you'll find yourself in the observation room. Here you can either try and pass a speech check with Lawrence and get him to reconsider his choices, or use the terminal and insert the systems access holotape and choose to open doors. Going this route, however, will cause everyone in the bioscience lab to become hostile, including Lawrence and Max. If you kill the synth guards in the lab but leave the two scientists alone, eventually Max will open the doors and resolve the issue. You are then given the option to either expel, kick out, or execute the scientists for what they've done, or you can do nothing at all. Very simple quest, nothing more to add. 131, Dependency. After you save Austin's life in Vault 81, one of the Vault's residents, named Tina DeLuca, will ask you for help in regards to her brother Bobby, who suffers from a chem addiction and badly relapsed because of Austin's situation. Tina wants you to try and talk some sense into Bobby, to which you'll then talk to him in any way you want. You can berate him for his addiction, which will also result in him getting into a gunfight with you. You can persuade him to get some help, or you can give him some jet, which will fail the quest. Once you've made your decision, go back and talk to Tina, who'll thank you or not, depending on your choice, and if you pass a speed check, you can actually recruit her for one of your settlements. This is a relatively short one that most people may not know about, but it's an alright one, I guess. 130, Road to Freedom. If you're traveling around the Boston Commons areas, you may notice this red trail. If you follow it and interact with these Freedom Trail markers, which will spell out a code, you'll eventually land up in front of the Old North Church. Enter it and go through the basement of the place. You'll eventually find this ring with the Freedom Trail written on that you can actually rotate. Spell out the word railroad, this secret wall will open up, and before you stand some of the members of the railroad. After talking with Desdemona about sins or whatever, the quest concludes. The quest is fine, there's really nothing else to say about it. 129, The First Step. One of the only 2 Minutemen settlement quests I'll be talking about on this list. This quest is given to you when Preston Garvey and his gang moves into Sanctuary. Talking with Preston, he'll tell you his story and yada yada, which leads to him giving you a quest to help a settlement, which by default will be a place called 10 Pines Bluff. The settlers there will tell you about a raider problem that they have, so they want you to take care of their problem by traveling to the Corvega assembly plant and kill the raiders there. Once you've done that, report your success back to the settlers, then back to Preston, and report to him that the settlers have decided to back the Minutemen. That will then conclude the quest, and your reward is having Preston Garvey as a companion and the flare gun, which is without a doubt the worst firearm in the game. The quest is fine, nothing offensive about it, but I'm gonna give you guys a super secret strat that'll help you in the long run. Once you talk to Preston and the first step quest begins, travel to that settlement you ought to help, and just kill the settler the game wants you to talk to. This will consider the settlement's recruit a failure, and you can just go back to Preston and say they won't be supporting the Minutemen, and the quest will complete itself with the same rewards as listed being given to you anyway. 128, Vision of the Future. This quest follows a different experiment that Overseer Barstow wants you to put the other Vault Dwellers through for reasons. This one has to do with the eye exam. It's a short, simple and easy quest, which can actually be said about the entirety of this DLC. I guess I like the whole terminal thing where you're allowed to choose the perimeter or what you want the experiments to be, with the eye exam one giving you a choice between improving eye care, vault monitoring, or subliminal messaging. 127, Operation Ticonderoga. Desdemona will ask you to head over to the Ticonderoga safe house to check its status and kill any and all coursers in the way. By the time you get there, the safe house has been overran by 2 coursers and some synths, to which you will have to kill them. Once both coursers are dead, report back to Desdemona about what happened and you'll be awarded with a random piece of armor or weapon. This is an okay quest, I guess. Yeah, I know, I'm saying this about a lot of quests, but what can you expect from quests that are literally just fine? 126, Curtain Call. When you arrive at Trinity Tower for the first time and take us with the mutants at the base of the tower, this quest will activate after a super mutant named Fist talks over the intercom, wanting the other mutants to kill you. Travel using the elevator and you'll be inside the tower. From here, you'll have to fight your way through some of the mutants before eventually reaching the top, taking out Fist and rescuing 2 people, or rather a man named Rex and a super mutant named Strong that were locked inside this cage. The 3 of you will make your grand escape by taking side elevators down the building and make your way to the base of the tower. Once in safety, Rex will thank you for your help and will reward you with either the Reginald suit if you're playing as a male character or Agatha's dress if you're playing as a female character. And of course you unlock Strong as an available companion. Now, I don't hate Strong or anything, but to be completely honest, he is definitely my least favorite companion in this game, just because he doesn't exactly fit my playstyle. All in all, this quest is perfectly serviceable. 125, Nuclear Family. After having taken down the Pridwin, you can return to Sean and let him know that the Commonwealth is finally safe. Sean will then say, "That's cool, anyway I'm dead now," and shockingly enough, he dies. Once the ending cutscene is over, the quest is done. Extremely short, nothing more to say. I guess the Institute Power Armor paint you get from this ending is cool, for those who care about that sort of stuff. 124, Boston After Dark. Dr. Carrington wants you to assist with escorting a newly rescued synth to a safe house, the previously mentioned Ticonderoga. After a discussion with Old Man Stockton, you'll head over to Cambridge Church, clear the area out, and wait until nighttime. Once nighttime falls, Stockton will arrive with the synth. Stockton will then light up a lantern that will give a all clear sign to High Rise, a railroad operative that's here to help with escorting the escaped synth. The three of you then embark on a grand adventure, killing raiders and probably some super mutants as well, before arriving safely at Ticonderoga safe house. Return back to Carrington after this and you'll be awarded with a combat rifle. Just a normal combat rifle. This quest is another one that is fine, nothing too exciting, but isn't terrible or anything. 123, Better Living Underground. After entering Vault 88, you have to repair the Vault-Tec workshop in order to clear out some of the rubbles in the way. The Vault-Tec control board, which is what you'll need to repair the workshop, will be found on Old Security Chief Anderson, who have since turned into a feral ghoul. Loot the control board off him, insert it into the workshop, and clear the rubble. You'll then meet Overseer Barstow, where after a short chat, the quest ends. After doing this quest, you'll get Vault 88 as a settlement, so that's neat I suppose. Anyway, this quest is another one that's very short, but it's perfectly fine. 122, Acadian Deals. This is one of those quests that only finishes once you've done other quests. In this case, you need to finish the quest given to you by Faraday and Chase in Acadia. Once you've done them both, the quest will finish, nothing more to this quest. 121, A Loose End. After activating Liberty Prime, if you go and talk to Lance Captain Kells, he'll task you with killing Virgil, the glowing sea super mutant scientist. Depending on what you've done so far, you can either tell Kells that Virgil is cured of his super mutantness and is back to being a human, or you can travel to Virgil's cave and either kill him or promise him you'll lie about him being dead to Kells. Unfortunately, since I did this quest after I destroyed the Institute, Virgil almost immediately became hostile. All in all, a fine quest that I'm sure some of you may not even know about. 120, Open Season. By either talking to President Garvey, Mackenzie Bridgman, who is an enslaved doctor working for the Nuka World gangs, or by killing Porter Gage, Open Season will start and requires you to do nothing but just kill the different group leaders. Those include Nisha, Max and William Black, and Mason. Once they and their gang members are dead, head back to Mackenzie and let her know about your doings. She will thank you and the quest ends. This quest is both a bad and a good quest in the sense that it's bad since the quest starts immediately once you've gone through the Take It For A Ride quest, meaning that you pretty much end the Nuka World DLC before it even got to really begin. But of course, if you've gone through everything that the DLC has to offer, then topping off with this quest is great, in my eyes at least. 119, Plugging a Leak. Dr. Justin Ayo is suspicious that someone in the Institute is helping synths escape, with its prime suspect being Allan Bennett, the head of the robotics division. After doing some snooping around, you'll come to a standoff with Eve, Allan's wife, and after taking care of her, you'll then have to confront Liam Bennett, the son of Allan. From here, you can either report findings of Justin Ayo, which sees Liam being banished from the Institute, or alternatively, you can help Liam with framing Justin Ayo, to which Liam will reward you with Liam's glasses, a special one-of-a-kind cosmetic only obtainable through this quest. This quest is perfectly fine, but I do find it weird that this quest only becomes available if you purposely fail the Tradecraft quest. It's not a super big deal or anything, but that means that if you completed that quest, you'll never get this quest during that playthrough. 118, Mankind Redefined. After the Battle of Bunker Hill, you'll have a discussion with Sean on top of the CIT ruins. Assuming you don't tell him off or say you're no longer with the Institute, he will ask you to attend the Directorate meeting. After the meeting, speak to Sean again, and then you'll go and talk to Ali Fillmore so that you can go to the Mass Fusion building and do the Mass Fusion quest. Mankind Redefined also rewards you with X688 as an available companion, which I'm sure is a positive for all two of you who likes him. But other than that, it's the Mac quest from me. 117, Short Stories. Another one on the list of short but sweet quests, Short Stories sees you talking to Katie, a Vault 81 resident who also serves as the school teacher for the Vault. She will ask you if you could stay and tell some stories for the students during class hours, which would be around 9 AM. When class starts, speak to Cathy and you'll be able to tell a story. The story is a retelling of what happened in Concord when you first met Preston and his group, when you fought the Deathclaw, and the power armor you wore. After the story is finished, Cathy will reward you with a Grognak comic book as a thank you. What I like about this quest is that you're allowed to go with whatever narrative you want, within the whole dialogue limitations of course, even if what you're saying is completely false or twisted in a way to make the story seem more epic. But there is one other quest we'll get into a short bit that I think does this quest a little bit better. 116, Vault Tech Calling. When you reach level 20, a Vault 88 radio beacon will appear on your Pip-Boy radio. Tuning into it, you'll be directed towards the location of Vault 88, which happens to be inside the Quincy Quarries. The quarry is overrun by raiders, so you gotta take care of them before you can actually get into the vault. Anyway, once you're dealt with them, head on inside and kill the remaining raiders in there. After that, just use the Pip-Boy to gain access to the vault door, open it, and the quest ends. This then leads to the Better Living Underground quest that I talked about earlier. Vault Tech Calling is a fine quest, nothing more than that. 115. Power to the People. Yet another Vault 88 experiment quest. This time, instead of it being an eye exam, it's about creating power or energy or whatever by using the power cycle 1000. Simply construct one, set it up via a terminal, and have Clem ride the power cycle for about an hour. After that, the power cycle will just randomly explode, you'll then have to fix it, report back to the overseer, and the quest finishes. I know this wasn't intentional, but I do love the fact that in my recording, Clem just flew over this wall and ended up getting into this corner. Anyway, this quest is relatively short, but a good starter to what you can expect from these experiments. 114, Hull Breach 2. As a part of the Hull Breach trio of quests, the Mariner wants you to go and clear out the trappers located at MS Azalea. Once you've done that, report back to the Mariner and she'll reward you with some caps. An okay quest that's short enough and actiony enough, I guess. 113, Out in Left Field. Mo Cronin, the baseball fanatic from Diamond City, wants you to get some baseball memorabilia for him. The items can be found over at the Westing Estate, where you'll find a signed baseball, a signed catcher's mitt, and a signed baseball card. Returning back to Mo, he'll give you some caps for your deeds. A fine quest, nothing more than that. 112, From Within. Before entering the Institute, Elder Maxim wants you to speak to a specific Institute member by the name of Madison Lee. Fortunately, she is one of the leaders that you'll meet during the institutionalized quest, so she won't be hard to find. Basically, Maxim wants you to try and convince her to rejoin the Brotherhood so that she can help with finishing on their big project, which happens to be Liberty Prime. Once you met Lee, you can either convince her to rejoin through a speech check, or you'll have to retrieve some evidence that supposedly had something to do with the death of Dr. Virgil, which, yes, is the same Virgil located in the Glowing Sea. Once she learns about the Institute's lie, she'll agree to come back to the Brotherhood. After that, you can talk to Maxon and the quest ends. It's always nice seeing reoccurring characters from other Fallout games, with Madison Lee being from Fallout 3 as well, so that alone makes this quest an okay, albeit a somewhat boring quest. 111, Safe Passage. Captain Avery is worried about a harborman named Howard Dunbar, who was sent out to repair the fog condensers near Far Harbor. She asks you to go out and seek him, to which you do, but end up finding out that Howard is dead, having been killed by Mirelurks. Realizing that his job is not over, you then take up the mantle of finishing what Howard couldn't. There are 3 fog condensers that need to be repaired, and once you've done that, head back to Avery and she'll give you some caps for the work. A fairly shorter quest than most, it's okay. 110, Shadow of Steel. Once the Prydwen arrives from the Commonwealth after finishing the Semper Invicta quest, Shadow of Steel will start. This quest has you traveling to Cambridge Police Station and talk to Dance. The two of you will then fly using a vertibird located on the roof of the station and fly over to the Prydwen where you'll talk to Kels before attending Elder Max's address. Once the address is done, talk to him, and after a conversation with him, report to Dance, and that ends the quest. Although the vertibird flying part is kind of slow and boring, I do like being able to aboard the Prydwen. Also, by finishing this quest, you get Dance as an available companion, Boston Airport as a settlement, and a full set of T-60B power armor. Pretty neat rewards for an otherwise fine quest. 109, Returning the Favor. The Abernathy family, located at the Abernathy farm, will tell you a little about themselves, which includes their late daughter Mary. Blake Abernathy will mention a locket that Mary was wearing and was stolen by the raiders. Blake asks for your help to recover the locket, with the locket having been taken to USAF satellite station Olivia. There you'll obviously have to dispatch a group of raiders before retrieving the locket, return back to the Abernathys, and give Blake the locket back. He'll thank you for your help, and will reward you with some caps, along with the farm becoming a settlement. It's a fine and simple quest that will probably be a good amount of players' first couple of quests in the game, which for what the quest involves and has to offer, it's pretty alright. 108. Pull the plug. Over by the thicket excavations, you can find a settler by the name of Sully Mathis, who needs help with repairing the pipes under the water. There are 3 valves in the water that you need to turn, and you can easily find these valves if you follow where these bubbles are coming from. Once you have turned all 3 of them, go back to Sully, start the pump, kill the 2 Mirelurks that spawns, and then speak to Sully again for your reward. It's a simple quest, but what I actually like the most about this quest is what happens later on. As when the quarry is empty of the water, you can actually find Sully and his group of raiders having moved into the quarry. Pretty neat detail for an otherwise insignificant quest. 107. In sheep's clothing. After the destruction of the Institute, if you return to Diamond City, you can find Danny having suffered a gunshot wound at the hands of Mayor McDonough himself. Make your way up to the mayor's office and you will find Piper trying to literally kick his door down. There's a secret button under the secretary's desk that opens the door, so just click it and enter his office. Since he has taken his secretary hostage, you can convince him to let her go. After some back and forth, McDonough will either demand that you let him leave in peace, or you can get into a shootout with him where you are forced to kill him, ending the quest. It's a somewhat cool quest, especially since it's one of those post-game quests that obviously only activates once the main story is finished. 106. Painting the town. Abbott, the caretaker of the Diamond City walls, needs some more green paint for the wall, so he wants you to head over to Hardware Town, a hardware store located in the fenced neighborhood. The place is being held by some raiders, so you gotta take care of them before you can actually get the paint. But once they are taken care of, you can find this paint mixer where you can combine a can of yellow and blue paint to get a can of green paint. Take that green can of paint over to Abbott and he'll reward you with some caps. A neat, relatively short quest that has a fun outcome if you decide to give him either a blue or yellow paint instead. Doing so will cause the wall to be painted in that color instead, and the NPCs around Diamond City will actually comment on it. 105. Defend the castle. Sometime after recapturing the castle for the Minutemen and working with them, Defend the Castle will start and you have to do exactly that. Defend the castle alongside the other Minutemen from a wave of certain enemy type. This includes the Institute, Super Mutants, the Brotherhood, Gunners, Raiders, and Mirelurks. Since it's wave based, you have to just survive and kill enough enemies so that the quest can end. It's a fine quest, nothing very exciting about this. Just some waves of enemies you have to fight. 104. Here Kitty Kitty. When entering Vault 81 for the first time, you may notice a cat running out of the vault. If you talk to Erin Combs, one of the child residents within Vault 81, she'll ask you if you've seen her cat and then will ask you if you could help her find it. The cat named Ashes can be found not too far away from the entrance of Vault 81. Just go to it, tell the cat to go home, return to Erin, and the quest is done. If you decide to be a monster and demand some rewards from her, she can give you her kickball, teddy bear, or a silver locket that her late mom gave her. But even if you didn't do that, you'll also be given a fusion core by Erin. This one is a short but fun enough quest. 103. Out of Time. The first quest in the game that everyone gets after being unfrozen, you'll have to make your way out of Vault 111 and enter the Commonwealth for the first time. Make your way over to Sanctuary, where you'll be shocked to learn that your trusty Mr. Handy named Codsworth is still alive. Operating? Anyway, after talking with him for a short while, talking about what happened to your spouse and Sean, you both search through the neighborhood in hopes of finding Sean, but after making no discoveries of his whereabouts, Codsworth makes a suggestion for you to go and visit Concord, which is where you'll come across Preston and his group. A relatively easy quest, but a nice one to start the game off with. 102. Story of the Century. This is short stories, but done a little better in my eyes. After arriving in Diamond City for the first time, Piper will ask you for an interview. You'll have to answer a few different questions you are asked, in regards to you being unfrozen from Vault 111, how you feel about the Commonwealth compared to Vault 111, who you're looking for, wonders if the Institute might be behind it, and lastly, we'll ask you what you would say to someone who had lost a loved one but is too scared to look for them. Once you have answered all of Piper's questions, she'll become an available companion if she isn't already. This is one of those quests that are impossible to fail, which is not a bad thing, and I personally feel like this quest is fun enough. 101. When Freedom Calls. After arriving at Concord for the first time, Preston will beg for you to help clear out the raiders inside the Museum of Freedom. Once you have cleared them out, Talk with Preston and Sturgis. They'll let you know that there are more raiders in Concord and that they need you to take care of them. But not before getting yourself a fusion core so that you can power up a power armor located on the roof of the museum. Once you're in the power armor, grab the machine gun attached to the vertibird and go to town on the remaining raiders. Oh, and there's a Deathclaw you also have to kill, so good luck with that. Anyway, once the raiders and the Deathclaw are dead, head back inside the Museum of Rhythm and check on Preston. Absent chatting, Preston and his group will move up to Sanctuary, and there you can meet up with Preston and talk with him, which will then finish the quest. It's a fine quest, nothing more to say. 100, with our powers combined. If you find yourself having destroyed the Institute and have become enemies with the Brotherhood, this quest will start. This quest requires you to install artillery pieces in 5 different settlements. Once you've done that, go talk to the radio operator at the castle and tell them to order a strike on the Prydwen. Once that is done, Defend the Castle will start and the Brotherhood will start an attack on the castle. Defend the castle from the Brotherhood and eventually you can talk to either Preston or Ronnie Shaw and the quest will finish. Yes, you do need to defend the castle in order to finish with our powers combined, by the way. Seeing the Prydwen come down is a cool sight as usual, so that alone makes this quest a nice one. 99. Ablutions. Sister May, a child of Adam, needs help with finding a pump regulator that can be used to install on the decontamination system, with the pump being found over at the Wimpop factory, which is also overran by super mutants. Once you acquire the regulator, which I already had done early in my playthrough, you can head back to Sister May, let her know about you having found the pump, and she'll not only give you the honor of installing it, but also gives you the Radical Conversion Radium Rifle, which is a weapon that has the effect of ignoring 30% of a target's damage and energy resistance. Now here you can either install the pump as normal, which will cause the decontamination system to spew out radiated water, or if your intelligence is high enough, you can fix it without the pump and cause the decontamination system to actually decontaminate radiation. This one is another alright quest. 98. The Watering Hole. This quest first requires you to go and find the chemical research from the Hallucinogen Inc. building. After doing so, report back to Overseer Barstow, who then wants you to make a soda fountain prototype. Connect a terminal to it, choose the perimeter you want, and let Clem serve soda for an hour. After doing so, talk with Clem, then talk with the Overseer and the quest is done. An average quest that has a little more action than some of the other Vault 88 quests. 97. What Adam requires. This quest requires you to help some of the other Children of Adam members, namely Grand Sealer Richter, Sealot Ware, Sister May, and High Confessor Tectus. Once you've helped them, this quest finishes. Really nothing more to say, this placement is only really based on the average rating of the quest you need to do in order to finish this one. 96. All aboard. When you reach level 30, a Nuka-Cola family radio signal will appear on your Pip-Boy radio. Tune into it and you'll be told to go to the Nuka World Transit Center, where you can come across a wounded man named Harvey. He'll need you to restore the power to the Nuka Express, and once you've done that, you can take a ride on the Nuka Express. This transit will take you to Nuka World, but uh-oh, you got tricked! And now you find yourself in the land of the Raiders, and now you need to do what you can to survive. This quest is short, but again, short does not equal bad. Just kinda fine. 95. Shipbreaker. Okay, so I actually couldn't get this quest to pop in my game, so I had to use console commands in order to spawn in the Shipbreaker. But basically, when you're traveling around Far Harbor, you might pick up the Shipbreaker's radio frequency. Tune into it and follow the frequency, and eventually you find the Shipbreaker, a unique legendary fog crawler. Kill it, loot what you want off of it, and go talk to old Longfellow. This quest will then finish. You also get the Skipper's Last Stand weapon that Longfellow will give you upon completing the quest. The weapon is a harpoon gun that increases your damage resistance while you're reloading. I always thought this was a bland reward that I always end up selling before I can even really use it. As for the quest itself, assuming you can actually pop it, it's just fine. 94. Ad Victorium. This is the ultimate quest for the Brotherhood, where not only do you finally get to power up Liberty Prime, but through this also gain access to the Institute. All you have to do is follow it to the CIT ruins, have it blow up a hole there, and then you'll enter said hole, which will gain you access to the Institute. Now this quest is ranked higher than most quests, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the walking with Liberty Prime part feels very slow and boring. From the moment Liberty Prime is able to move, it takes about 10 minutes before it reaches the CIT ruins. Yes, there are Sims and the occasional super mutants and raiders to kill along the way, but that doesn't take away from how boring the section is. Other than that though, it's just a fine quest. 93. A model citizen. After meeting Overseer Barstow for the first time, you can help her with building Vault 88 by first clearing out the ghouls that are found in the area. Once that is done, Barstow wants you to then construct a Overseer's desk for her. After doing that, she wants you to tune into the Vault 88 radio beacon. From here you can either explore Vault 88, which will start the quest of the same name, or you can help Barstow with the candidates for the vault. Once they have been interviewed, talk to Barstow again and the quest will finish. Not a difficult quest and one of the better quests of this DLC, though not the best one. 92. The Changing Tide. Similar to what Adams requires, this quest is that but for the folks of Far Harbor. Here you have to help out Small Bertha with securing Echo Lake Chamber, Mitch with finding his Uncle Ken, and the Mariner with either the Hull Breach quest or the Great Hunt quest. Once at least 2 of these quests are done, talk to Captain Avery and she'll award you with the Rescue Diver suit, an armor set that allows you to breathe underwater. It's a fine reward, but not one that I usually keep on me. It tends to get sold really fast. As for the quest, this placement is more so an averaging of the required quest that needs to be finished. 91. Taking Independence. Taking Independence is the quest where you and the Minutemen recapture the castle by destroying a Mirelurk nest surrounding it. Once the Mirelurks are dealt with, the Mirelurk Queen will make her presence and you have to kill her. Once she is dealt with, power up the radio transmitter and report back to Preston. Your main reward for completing this quest if the castle becomes an available settlement. Other than that, it's an average quest. 90. Public Knowledge. Daisy, a merchant living in Good Neighbor, will offer you some work if you ask her. Basically, she wants you to travel to the Boston Public Library and do 2 things. The first thing is to return an overdue book, and secondly, she wants you to clear out the super mutants at the library. After doing both, return back to Daisy and she'll reward you with some caps. Of the 2 quests that involves Daisy in one way or another, this one is the weaker of the 2, but the quest itself is a perfectly average one. 89. Hull Breach 3. Hull Breach 3 sees you doing some more work for the Mariner, shockingly enough, and this time she wants you to go out and collect 3 Mirelurk shells at Haddock Cove. This can be done by killing the Mirelurks and looting the shells off them. Once you gotten 3 of them, head back to the Mariner, talk to her, and she'll reward you with the Defender's Harpoon Gun, which will ignore 30% of a target's damage and energy resistance. Another simple, average quest that I have no strong opinion about. 88. Hull Breach. And to end the Hull Breach trio of quests, the initial Hull Breach quest has you fetching some power tools for the Mariner, which can be found at Eagle's Cove Tannery. Once you collect the power tools and you leave the tannery, you'll be approached by a man named Machete Mike. Noticing you have the power tools, he'll try to buy them off of you. If you accept his offer of 2,000 plus caps, the quest ends and the Hull Breach quests end altogether here. But if you decline his offer, or just kill him and take his caps, you can head back to the Mariner, give her the tools, and you'll be given a combat shotgun, some shells, and some caps. Despite it being an average quest, I think I like this Hull Breach quest the most because the Machete Mike and him trying to buy the tools off of you. I don't know, it feels more interactive, I guess. Anyhow, and again, this quest is an alright one. 87. An Ambitious Plan. Once you have become the overboss of the gangs in Nuka World, Porter Gage wants you to go around and meet with the different group leaders. These includes Nisha, the leader of the Disciples, Max Black, the leader of the Operators, William Black, the second in command for the Operators, and Mason, the leader of the Pack. If you manage to threaten Mason enough times, he'll give you the Problem Solver rifle, which increases damage after each consecutive hits on the same target. Once you've met with the leaders, return back to Gage, and as a reward, Gage becomes an available companion. I think what this quest has above similar quests like Tour of Duty or Institutionalized is that the rewards are actually better, what with Gage becoming a companion and Mason giving you the Problem Solver. Other than that though, it's really no different than the others we talked about. 86. A New Dawn. After destroying the Institute with help from the Brotherhood, Elder Maxon will want to speak with you. Head up to the Prydwen and go talk to Maxon. Here you'll be awarded with the rank of Sentinel, along with a jetpack mod for your power armor. Following this, the main questline for the Brotherhood is finished. It is a simple quest that doesn't require much effort, well, besides destroying the Institute, I guess. 85. Witch Hunt. High Confessor Tectus is suspicious about a case of disloyalty within a Children of Adam member by the name of Sister Albert. Tectus wants you to investigate her and get to the bottom of this matter. You can speak to Sister Albert in regards to how she feels about Tactus, or you can search her bunker. Doing so, you'll find a hidden letter revealing that Sister Albert and Brother Edgar, a deceased Children of Adam member, used to correspond using secret footlockers. You'll have to find a secret key that will unlock his footlocker, and inside will be another note. From this note, Albert knows that Edgar's death was no accident, but instead an act of Tectus killing Edgar for being friends with the former High Confessor Martin. From here, you can either keep Albert's note a secret, or you can inform your findings with Tectus. Upon completing the quest, you'll be rewarded with the Inquisitor's Cowl, a headpiece armor that increases your intelligence the higher your radiation meter is. Witch Hunt is a relatively fun quest, I personally liked it. 84. Troubled Waters. One of the Miss Nanny robots located at the Grey Garden named Supervisor White is upset about the quality of the water supply from the nearby Western Water Treatment Plant. Supervisor White wants you to head over there and fix the problem, to which you'll happily agree to do. Once you arrive at the plant, you have to take care of the super mutants that surrounds the outside, and once you are inside, you have to take the elevator down to the basement and activate 5 pumps in here to drain the plant, while also taking care of the Mirelurks located here. Once all the pumps have been activated, you can make your way back outside, report your job done to Supervisor White, and then go report back to Preston. By finishing this quest, you get Grey Garden as a settlement, and a discount with Supervisor Green and his products. This was a rather fun quest. 83. Show No Mercy. After getting to know the members of the Brotherhood, go and speak to Elder Maxon on the flight deck. He will then order you to board the Vertibird gunship and travel over to Fort Strong, kill the super mutants that are located there, and secure the place, as the basement of Fort Strong contains a massive amount of Fatman shells that the Brotherhood wants to use. Once you have secured Fort Strong, report back to Maxon and he'll reward you with some Vertibird signal grenades, which will allow you to travel from one area to another via a Vertibird. It is a cool reward in my opinion, though it isn't the reason it's ranked here. I just think the quest is fine enough as it is, though gunning down the behemoth from the Vertibird is kinda cool. 82. The Arrival. Chase wants you to investigate a potential lost synth that was supposed to arrive at Acadia some time ago. She wants you to first talk with Brooks, one of the merchants in Far Harbor that is also secretly a synth. After confirming your investigation with him, he reveals that the synth left Far Harbor after becoming frightened and hasn't been heard from since. After heading south of Far Harbor, you come across a campground with some blood on the ground. Examine the blood and follow the rest of the trail. You'll eventually be led to a house occupied by some trappers, who we learn caught the synth, killed him, and then ate him. Either convince the first trapper to head over the head of the synth, or just kill the trappers and loot the synth's head off one of the trappers. Return back to Chase and she'll reward you with the Hitman's Institute laser gun, which does 10% more damage while aiming. The Arrival is a decent enough quest, with the discovery of the synth's head probably being the best part about it. 81. The Grand Tour. Similar to some of the quests we've seen so far, the Grand Tour requires you to complete the different Nuka World quests, where you capture the different parks and assign a gang to each one of them. Once they are all secured by a gang, head over to Porter Gage and talk to him. Considering that there are 5 different parks you need to capture, this ranking is based on how fun on average you'll have with each one of them. Some of them can be unfun, as we've seen with 3 of the 5 so far, though the remaining 2 ones are quite fun and we'll get to them much later on. 80. Where You Belong. After arriving at Acadia for the first time, you can meet with Dima, the leader of Acadia. After having a deep conversation with him, make your way down through Acadia and you'll find Kasumi Nakano, the girl you were sent to Far Harbor to look for. She believes that Dima is planning something that could threaten the island as a whole, so she wants you to obtain Faraday's program, or just talk to Dima, and you'll learn that some of Dima's earliest memories are being held by the Children of Adam. Talk this over with Kasumi, and she suggests that you go and gain access to those memories. This quest then finishes and starts the Best Left Forgotten quest. It's a short quest, but a fine one, especially with the whole questioning Dima's intentions stuff. 79. Turn Back the Fog. Small Bertha, a child resident of Far Harbor, needs your help to secure Echo Lake Chamber. Just head over there, clear the area of the ghouls, and once you're done with that, you might be approached by a crazed man named Malcolm who claims to be the owner of Echo Lake Chamber. You can either choose to refuse to settle the land, take the caps he offers for sending settlers to him, or you can refuse to take part in his deal, which will make him hostile. Once you have dealt with him, head back to Far Harbor and talk to Small Bertha. She'll lead you to Captain Avery and Teddy Wright, where Bertha will need help to convince Avery to provide some fog condensers so that they can make Echo Lake Chamber much safer. Once the conversation is over, the quest finishes. Your reward for securing Echo Lake Chamber, assuming you didn't side with Malcolm, is that Echo Lake Chamber becomes a settlement plus some additional caps. It's not a bad quest, just kinda alright in a way. 78, Lady Luck. The last quest from the Vault-Tec Workshop DLC happens to be the best one, though not for being super exciting. This one is very similar to the other quests we've seen so far with this DLC, as this time you need to make a slot machine and have Clem gamble for an hour. After that hour is up, report to Barstow, and she'll announce that her work is done. From here, you can either convince her to stay and keep running Vault 88, or you can let her leave. Either way, she'll give you the Legend of Vault 88 jumpsuit. This special jumpsuit reduces damage taken from ghouls by 15%. This jumpsuit is the only reason I ranked it higher than the other ones. So besides that, this quest pretty much have nothing else to be said about. 77, The Precipice of War. As a part of the Railroad main quest line, the Brotherhood of Steel will strike and ambush the Railroad's headquarters. After clearing the headquarters and the church itself of the Brotherhood, you'll meet with Tinker Tom and Deacon near Cambridge Police Station. After taking out the Brotherhood located at the station, head to the roof and kill the remaining soldiers there. Tom will hand you an explosive charge that will be used to bring the Pridwin down. While Tom preps the Vertibird, an enemy Vertibird will arrive and attack, so you just gotta take care of that too. After doing so, talk to Deacon to complete the quest. I enjoyed this quest, it was kind of fun, though I think the game kind of bugged out a little bit for me, as I'm pretty sure Tinker Tom kind of ran away from the station for a bit. But yeah, other than that, it's a fun quest. 76, Order Up. At the Drumlin Diner, a standoff between a lady named Trede and a chem dealer named Wolfgang can be intercepted. There's a few ways you can do this quest. You can either convince Wolfgang to leave Trede and the diner alone, convince Trede to pay up what she owes Wolfgang, or you can side with either one of them and take the other down. The most you'll get out of this quest is some caps, but I do like the multiple directions this quest has, despite it being a very not important one to the main story. 75, Human Error. Covenant is a suspicious place, I think we can all agree on that. Well, same does Honest Dan thinks as they investigate a missing caravan that includes Amelia Stockton, the daughter of Old Man Stockton. Dan wants you to help him get to the bottom of this as no one else in Covenant will. Not too far away from Covenant is a slaughtered caravan, but with Amelia missing. Inside the cooler is a can of Deezer's lemonade, sold only by Deezer in Covenant, so obviously they're involved somehow. In Covenant itself, you can gain access to Mayor Jacob's office terminal, and you'll learn about a compound located not too far away from Covenant. After discussing your findings with Dan, you can try and head over to the compound, but not before being stopped by Jacob, who'll basically tell you to stop and leave the whole thing alone. After this though, you can still enter the compound and either fight your way, or convince this guard to take you to Dr. Chambers, who has Amelia Stockton in a cage mere moments away from killing her for being a synth. From here, you can either side with Dr. Chambers and kill Dan in the process, or you can rescue Amelia by killing Chambers and the guards inside the compound. If you sided with Dan, then you'll have to go and talk with Old Man Stockton to conclude the quest, but if you sided with Chambers, you'll have to talk to Jacob in order to conclude the quest. No matter the outcome, Covenant will end up as an available settlement, which is pretty neat. For this quest, it was a fun one too. 74, Mechanical Menace. Once you reach level 15, a caravan distress call will appear on your radio. Listening to it, you'll be notified to head over to an area near Watts Consumer Electronics, to where you'll find a lone robot by the name of Ada fending up against a group of other robots. If you help Ada and take care of the bots, you can eventually talk to her. She'll talk about her grievances over the death of her human friends, and concludes that this attack has something to do with the Mechanist. She asks if you would be up to find out where the Mechanist is located, and you can accept that quest. Doing so will conclude Mechanical Menace. Not a terribly hard quest, just kind of nice. Of course, you also get Ada as a companion, so that's cool. 73, Vault 81. Trying to enter Vault 81 for the first time, an officer of the vault will prevent you from entering as he has no idea who you are. The overseer of the vault will then interject, and here you can either try and pass a speech check to be let in, or you can do them a favor to be let in, which is for you to find 3 fusion cores to give to them. Once you've gotten your hands on 3 fusion cores, just return back to Vault 81, report your findings, and they'll let you in. Hand your fusion cores over to Overseer McNamara, and after a short chat, the quest concludes. From here, you'll gain access to Vault 81, which I think is the best part about this specific quest. The quest itself is completely fine in my eyes. 72, Headhunting. In Headhunting, you have to hunt down a second quantum robo-brain that holds a radar beacon. Once looted off the robo-brain, talk with Ada. With the radar beacon, Ada can use its signal to try and figure out where the mechanism is located. The radar leads directly to the Fort Hagen satellite array. Travel over there, take care of the rust devils located there, and enter the bunker. After some searching, you'll come across Jezebel, a dismantled robo-brain. In exchange for helping you take down the mechanist, Jezebel wants to be taken out of the satellite array and have a new body found for her. Once you acquire Jezebel, a gigantic sentry bot named Ahab will appear and you have to destroy it. Once that is done, you'll make a grand escape from the bunker. From here, head over to a robot workbench and construct a body for Jezebel. After doing so, Jezebel will tell you how to gain access to the mechanist layer, but not before needing something called an MSAT, which can be installed onto Ada. Once this info is given, the quest finishes. This was a rather fun quest to do. I quite enjoyed it. 71. Underground Undercover. After gaining access to the Institute with the help from the Railroad, you'll be told about a synth that is helping the Railroad when it comes to rescuing synths. Nicknamed Patriot, you'll later learn that the real name is Liam Bennett, who I actually talked about during the Plugging a Leak quest. Basically, he and C-114 have an idea of having 13 synths escape the Institute all at once. However, Liam needs a pre-war admin password from the surface in order to bypass the security in the Institute and open some of the doors down here. Once you're able to travel back to the Railroad, you can have Pam analyze the data you reported in her terminal, and she will recommend that the login credentials for Wilfred Bergman should be used by Liam. This login info can be found over at the Cambridge Polymer Labs. After talking with Desdemona some more, you can get back to Liam and give him the password. After that, you'll mainly communicate with C-114, and after confirming that their plan is still possible, suggest that you can kill some of the synth guards and stage it as some sort of accident, which will allow some synths to go into hiding as well. From here, you'll be able to keep working with Sean until powering up is completed. After that, you'll meet up with C-114, and he tells you to go and tell Desdemona that the Brotherhood is about to strike the Railroad headquarters. The quest then concludes and immediately leads into the Precipice of War quest. Underground Undercover is admittedly a bit of a boring quest, but I don't entirely hate it. It does lead into a quest that I do kinda like, but as for the quest itself, it's serviceable. 70. Taken for a Ride. Once you have been tricked into coming to Nuka World for the first time, you'll have to go through a gauntlet of traps before having a fight against Overboss Coulter inside the Cola Cars arena. But with a little help from Porter Gage, you'll manage to take down the suited up Coulter with the use of a squirt gun. Once you have killed Coulter, you'll be announced as the new overboss of the Nuka World, and you gain access to the rest of the Nuka World. Although the gauntlet itself is a little too long, I do like that most of the trap rooms are different from the other, such as a radiation sickening room, another room with multiple tripwires, and a gas-filled room that you'll need to be careful when it comes to using firearms. Taking down Coulter is also fun for the first time when you realize that, yeah, the squirt gun was the key to take him down. So taking for a ride is a good quest. 69. Liberty Reprimed. After helping the Brotherhood for a bit, they'll let you in on their secret project, which is to reactivate Liberty Prime. However, in order to finish work on it, they need actuators to be built into each of Liberty Prime's limbs, and though they may have most of the materials to create the actuators, they're still missing a high-powered magnet. So you head out, find a high-powered magnet, head back to Boston Airport and construct 4 electromagnetic actuators via their workshop. Once done, talk to Proctor Ingram and either Madison Lee or Professor Skara, depending on whether or not Madison and Reed joined the Brotherhood, and they'll now tell you to seek out nukes for Liberty Prime. To find said nukes, you'll first have to meet up with Scribe Halen, and she'll give you a distress pulsar that you need to activate once the nukes are found. Next, you'll have to enter and search through Sentinel Site Prescott. After battling enemies and traveling through the site, you'll come across the nukes. After locating them, activate the distress pulsar, return back to Proctor Ingram, and now Liberty Prime can be activated. Your reward for finishing this quest is a medical pump mod for your T60 power armor that allows you to automatically consume a Stimpack if your health is low enough. Another mainline quest that is perfectly fine. 68. Hunter Hunted. In order to create a way into the Institute, Virgil suggests that you go and find yourself a courser ship, which can only really be obtained if you kill an Institute courser and loot the ship off of them. Virgil tells you to head over to the CIT ruins and tune into the courser's radio frequency. From here, you just follow where the frequency leads you, which will always be the Green Tech Genetics building. Once inside, you're gonna have to fight your way through a group of gunners, and once you reach the top of the building, you can either kill the courser or deactivate him using his deactivation code if you get it from Mama Murphy. Once the ship is looted, the quest finishes. Also, there's this synth lady that you can just either kill or help or abandon. She serves no purpose in the story or any later game decisions. As for the quest itself though, it's an alright one with a good amount of action. 67. The Morawski Heist. If you decide not to help Paul in confronting Cook, but still follow him to the Colonial Tap House, Paul will be killed in a shootout with Cook. After witnessing Paul's death, Cook will offer you to help him rob some folks, to which you'll say yes and do the robbing with him. After about a day in-game following the quest, Paul's wife Darcy will ask if you've seen Paul, to which you'll answer honestly about Paul's death and then ask him if there's anything you can do for her, but Darcy will decline and go her way. After one whole in-game week, meet Darcy again and she'll present you with a photo she found. The photo is of Cook, Paul, and Malcolm Latimer, a rich Diamond City snob. Apparently, the three of them conspired a heist known as the Morawski Heist, as they stole from a Mr. Morawski, the owner of the hotel in Goodneighbor. Once you acquire this photo, you can either go to Malcolm and give him the photo for some caps, which will end the quest right there, or you can travel to Morawski, show him the photo, and he'll offer you some caps if you go and kill Malcolm, since Paul is already dead and Cook has long since left Diamond City with his whereabouts being completely unknown. Once you agree to this, you can go and kill Malcolm. Words of caution though, just straight up killing him in broad daylight will cause Diamond City to turn hostile, so it's best to wait until Malcolm is in his home and away from folks. Once he's dealt with, go to Morawski and claim your reward. You can also travel back to Darcy and decide to split the caps even, though this is not required for this quest. For being one of the more secret quests in the game, I kinda enjoyed it, even though it's not the one that I often go out of my way to obtain. 66. The Great Hunt. After helping the Mariner with the Hull Breach quest, she'll offer you an opportunity she's been eyeing for some time. She wants to go out and hunt the infamous Red Death. Agreeing to her quest, you'll head out on your boat and soon arrive at Red Death Island. Once you make it there, you'll find the Mariner and the Red Death. Yep, as it turns out, the Red Death is just a very tiny mirelurk. Realizing how shameful it would be to confirm what the Red Death actually was, you can either choose to be honest or lie for the Mariner once you make your way back to Far Harbor. In either case, as a thank you, the Mariner will reward you with the Legend of the Harbor outfit, which increases your perception by 2 points and reduces the damage taken from mirelurks and bug type enemies by 15%. Despite being a very short and uneventful quest, it's still hilarious knowing what the Red Death ended up actually being. 65. The Holdout. Mitch, the bartender in Far Harbor, warns you to go out to the National Park Visitor Center to look for his Uncle Ken. Once out there, you can find Uncle Ken, and before long, an ambush on the place will occur and you'll have to help Ken defend the center. Once done doing so, you can either convince Ken to come back to Far Harbor with you, or you can just let him stay here at the center. Once the decision is made, head back to Mitch and he'll reward you with some caps, along with the Fire Belly recipe. The Fire Belly is a consumable item that takes away about 30 hit points from you, but damage output gradually increases at low health, though it does have a 25% chance of alcohol addiction. Ken and Mitch may not be my personal favorite characters in Far Harbor, but the quest itself is fun on its own, and the special Fire Belly recipe is kinda cool too. 64. Visions in the Fog. In order to prove your worth to Adam, you'll have to drink from Adam's spring. After drinking from it, a shadowy figure will appear and you'll have to follow it. After following for a bit, you'll be directed to the Holy Site, where you can unlock a cache. The terminal's code can be found on the side of this locker, so just interact with it and you'll gain access to the terminal. Once inside the cache, pick up the mother icon from the desk and return back to Grand Zealot. After confirming your findings, you're then welcomed into the Children of Adam, be given your own Robes of Adam's Devoted, which is basically a default Rags costume, but with an added bonus of 5 points of radiation resistance. It's basically a fetch quest, but one of the more enjoyable ones I've come across. 63. Special Delivery. Depending on where you are, you could be approached by a ghoul named Edward Deegan. He'll offer you some work and wants you to meet him over at the Cabot house. After gaining entry by talking to him through the intercom, you'll speak to both Edward and another man by the name of Jack Cabot about the job. They've revealed that a package has gone missing near a Parsons State Insane Asylum that they owned and want you to recover it. Accepting the job, you head over to the asylum and interact with Captain Maria, a mercenary leader employed by Jack Cabot. She lets you know that the raiders who stole the package are just north of the asylum. Head up there, get rid of the raiders, get the package, which turns out to be a mysterious serum, and head back to the Cabot house. Decide to either give Edward the serum or not, and you'll be rewarded with some caps for your troubles. For a quest that starts a nice trio of quests, I found Special Delivery to be an enjoyable quest in of itself. 62. Kid in a Fridge. If you're traveling up and down between University Point and Neponset Park, you can hear the voice of a child. Further investigating the voice will lead you to a fridge, so naturally you think that a kid is inside said fridge, to which you'll be correct. After shooting the handle off, you can meet Billy, a ghoul child who apparently had been stuck inside said fridge for a better part of 200 years. He'll ask if you can take him home, to which you can do exactly that, with his home being located south of Quincy. Along your travel, you may come across a guy named Bullet, a gunner slaver that will offer to buy Billy from you. From here, you can either sell Billy to him, ending the quest, decline Bullet's offer and continue to take Billy home, or you can sell Billy to Bullet, but then kill Bullet and continue to take Billy home, reactivating the quest. Once you have reached the Peabody residence, you can reunite Billy with his parents, who are also ghouls. However, should Bullet be left alive, he'll soon appear and demand that the family be turned over to him. From here, you can either convince him that nobody's home, or kill him and his goons. After defending the Peabodys, they'll thank you for saving them and getting Billy home safe, and reward you with some caps. It's a nice quest with either one of the sweetest or harshest endings in the game. 61. A New Threat. After agreeing to help Ada with finding the location of the Mechanist, you'll have to investigate the General Atomics factory in hopes to find a quantum robobrain. After killing the robobrain along with the other bots in the factory and looting the Mechanist device off of the robobrain, go and speak to Ada and she'll reveal that the device is a satellite tracking device. Ada wants you to install the device to her so that you two can use it to your advantage. In order to install it, you must build a robot workbench in the settlement and install the device on Ada. Once installed, Ada will say that in order to utilize it, you'll need to kill another robobrain that is using the same signal, having to need 2 signals in order to decrypt the signal. This concludes the quest and leads into the headhunting quest we talked about earlier. This quest itself is pretty simple, but I still personally liked it. 60. Building a better crop. After getting to know the division leaders of the Institute, you can go and talk to Dr. Isaac Carlin over at the Bioscience Labs. Basically, Isaac needs some seeds he has to be delivered to someone by the name of Roger Warwick, who Isaac reveals to be a synth. Roger can be found over at the Warwick homestead, and once there, you can talk with Roger in secret. He'll talk about how he suspects that his foreman Bill is planning to move against him. From here, you'll talk to the other Warwick family members and try to figure out what they know, which is also where you'll learn about a man by the name of Cedric Hopton, a farmhand who was employed by Roger, who was instructed by Bill to find a hired assassin to take care of Roger. Cedric can be found a good neighbor, and after talking to him for a short bit, he'll tell you to return back to Bill so that you can talk to him. When returning to the Warwicks, Roger will be held at gunpoint by Bill. From here, 2 things can happen. Either Bill is killed, or Bill is talked down and he'll leave the Warwick homestead. After the confrontation and talking with Roger, you can return back to Dr. Isaac and you'll be given some additional rewards of 20 stim packs. Yet another one of those sort of secret quests in the game. It's very simple and sweet. 59. Reunions. After searching Kellogg's place in Diamond City for some possible clues towards his location, you'll follow Dogmeat as he tries to lead you to Kellogg. After traveling some distance and collecting some additional clues, you'll arrive at Fort Hagen. Once you arrive, enter the building through a roof access. Once inside, you'll have to reach the ground floor and enter the command center. After diving further into the fort, you'll come across Kellogg and confront him. After some back and forth, Kellogg will cut the conversation short and will engage in a shootout with you. Once Kellogg is killed, you can use a nearby terminal to open some doors and leave Fort Hagen. Once that is done, head back to Diamond City and discuss with Nick and Piper inside Nick's office about your discoveries. Nick suggests going to the memory den so that you can hook up Kellogg's cybernetics to Nick and explore Kellogg's memories in hopes to maybe figure out where Sean is. The main rewards for doing this quest is Kellogg's outfit and his pistol, which is one of the better guns in the game, especially in the early points of the playthroughs. The bonus it gives is your action points are refilled after a critical hit. Although I don't really like the whole follow Dogmeat section, battling your way through Fort Hagen is enjoyable enough for me. 58. Walk in the Park. When you first arrive at Far Harbor, you'll be met by Captain Avery and Allan Lee, 2 locals of Far Harbor. After being questioned why you're here, a sudden alarm rings out, signaling a battle that's about to happen. Providing assistance for the folks at Far Harbor, you'll help them to take down some of the gulpers and anglers that are attacking. After defending Far Harbor, Captain Avery will thank you, and since Avery knows you're looking for Kasumi, she points you to the direction to Old Longfellow, a hunter that can be found inside the last plank bar. After some convincing, or by giving him some whiskey, Old Longfellow agrees to take you to Acadia. During your travels, you can come across a few different factors that plagues the island, such as enemy trappers, ghouls, wild wolves, mirelurks, some more gulpers, and even a member of the Children of Adam. But after some walking, eventually you'll arrive at Acadia, ending the quest. From here, Old Longfellow becomes an available companion, and his cabin becomes an available settlement. What I like the most about this quest is that during the Far Harbor battle and traveling with Old Longfellow, you'll learn quickly that the island is pretty dangerous at most times. Old Longfellow is also an alright companion, though he's not one of my personal favorites. Also, nobody cares about his cabin being a settlement, nobody ever uses it. 57. Tradecraft. Once you've made contact with the railroad, Deacon will invite you to do a job with him. Accepting his offer, you'll meet Deacon over by the old freeway outside of Lexington. Once you make contact with him at this location, Deacon will guide you through the different railroad signs while also giving more details about the job. After making contact with a tourist, you and Deacon are sent to enter through either an escape tunnel or by heading through the front entrance of the Slocum's Joe's shop. Once inside, you have to make your way into the switchboard. From here, you'll have to find Carrington's prototype, which is inside this vault. Once Deacon gets the security door open, you can pick up the prototype. Noticing the dead body in the vault, Deacon will search it and give you a weapon he finds on the body called the Deliverer, a legendary 10mm pistol with a silencer that has improved VATS hit chance and 25% less action point cost. Anyway, now that you have the prototype, make your way out of the switchboard and get back to the Old North Church. Enter the basement of the church and talk with Desdemona and Deacon. Following the conversation, you'll be officially announced as the newest member of the railroad with your very own codename too. You also get Deacon as an available companion. Although the Railroad might be my least favorite faction in Fallout 4, if not the entire series, I do find Deacon fun to have around, and the Deliverer weapon is a personal favorite of mine. 56. The Molecular Level. After you get the core ship analyzed, you can create this signal interceptor with the assistance from one of the three factions. The construction of the interceptor is the exact same across all factions, but you will need some specific items in order to create one, with said items being a military-grade circuit board for the beam emitter and a biometric scanner for the control console. Once they're all constructed and powered up, you can use the signal interceptor after talking with whoever you're sighted with. Once you use the interceptor, you'll be transported into the Institute and the quest concludes. This is definitely one of the more significant quests in the game, allowing you to finally access the Institute for the first time. For that alone, I do think it deserves to be ranked as high as it does. 55. Living on the Edge. Just like what Adam requires and the Changing Tide before, this is a quest that completes once you've helped some of the Far Harbor folks. More specifically, Captain Avery with the fog condensers, the Mariner with her power tools, and Cassie Dalton with avenging her fallen family. Once you have helped them, talk with Eddy Wright and he'll devise a plan that will gain you the respect of the folks. This then concludes Living on the Edge and leads into a quest that we'll get into later on. This ranking is more based on the actual quests you have to do in order to complete this quest, so yeah. 54. Old Guns. Sometime after taking back the castle, you can travel back there and meet Ronnie Shaw, a veteran officer of the Minutemen. After learning about Ronnie's super epic and important backstory with the Minutemen, we are tasked with gaining entry to the armory. Unfortunately, the giant steel door is completely shut from the outside, so you're gonna have to find another way in. Using the workshop, there is some rubbles you can clear out, and from there, you can enter the lower tunnels of the castle. After making your way through the tunnels, you'll come face to face with Sarge, a sentry bot that you have to destroy no matter what. Once taken care of, Ronnie Shaw will use the terminal to unlock the door next to it. Once open, the body of General McGann can be found. Making your way through the room, you can enter the armory. Here you can find some weapons, some throwables, and the most important piece here, the schematics for the artillery and some smoke grenades. Build an artillery piece at the castle and assign a settler to it. You'll be tasked to throw some smoke grenade at a designated area, and you'll be able to observe the artillery strike. After observing, talk with Preston, and the quest concludes. Ronnie Shaw is overall an alright character, though making the decision to make her an available merchant is a nice touch. Also, speaking of General McGann, you can loot his general's uniform, which is the only general's uniform you can obtain in the game. The outfit provides +1 to charisma. The quest itself is not a super hectic one, but I did find it enjoyable. 53. The Lost Patrol. Either given by Paladin Dance or Captain Kells, or by traveling near enough a radio distress signal, you can start the Lost Patrol. The quest sees you investigating what happened to a squad of Brotherhood of Steel soldiers named Recon Squad Artemis. The first distress signal is found at a ruined clinic. The body of Knight Warham can be found, and on him is a battlefield holotape. Listening to the holotape will lead you to a new distress signal over at the National Guard training yard. Upon entering the building, the first open room on the right holds the body of Knight Astlin. Similar to Warham, a holotape can be found on her. Listening to her holotape will lead you to the Reverse Satellite Array, a place occupied by super mutants. Once they're dealt with, you can find the body of Scribe Faris, who also has a holotape on himself. Listening to this third and final holotape, you'll be guided to go to Recon Bunker Theta, where inside you'll find Paladin Brandis. Clearly disheveled, the outcome will end in one of three ways. Either Brandis is killed, you leave him alone, or you can convince him to hear you out and therefore allow yourself to attempt him to make him rejoin the Brotherhood. Once your decision is made, you can return back to either Paladin Dance or Captain Kells, and be either rewarded with some caps if reporting to Dance, or with a legendary Brotherhood of Steel combat armor chest piece that grants increased energy and damage resistance the lower your health is. If you do manage to convince Brandis to join, he can actually be found on the Prydwen a few days later and will recognize you as the person who found him. I've always found enjoyment with this quest, though I never found the Super Mutants part to be that fun. But other than that, it is a good quest. 52. Here There Be Monsters. If you find yourself near the Shamrock Tap House, go to the docks near it and talk to Donnie. He'll claim he saw a monster poke out of the water, so you do the smart thing and go investigate it. Realizing it's not a monster, but rather a submarine called Yangtze, you can enter it and come face to face with Captain Zhao, a Chinese ghoul and the only surviving member of the Yangtze. Knowing you're not here to attack, he'll ask you for your help. Noticing that the submarine is not seaworthy, he wants you to go out and get him some dampening coil so that the ship can get some power. The coil can be found over at Songus Ironworks. Once you got the coil, return back to Zhao, and now he'll need you to get some nuclear fuel. This is because one of his missiles failed to launch during the Great War, so he wants you to remove said warhead. Once you remove the warhead, head back to Zhao, and now he wants you to insert the coil and warhead into the reactor. Now remember, you need to insert the coil first, and then you insert the warhead. If you're curious, yes, inserting the warhead will kill you and Zhao. Once both items have been inserted correctly, talk to Zhao again, and he'll pay you for your help. He'll give you some homing beacons, which is a unique weapon that you can use to call a direct strike from the Yangtze. It is a pretty neat reward, though you can also extort Zhao for some additional rewards, including some pre-war money, 200 caps, and Zhao's sword, which is literally just a normal Chinese officer's sword, so barely worth it. But this is a pretty cool quest though. 51, Far From Home, and 50, Close to Home. Breaking these two together as they more or less play out the same. Far From Home activates once you started the Reunions quest. You can tune into the Valentine Detective Agency radio and be informed about a new case. Talk to Ellie and she'll inform you about a family whose daughter has gone missing. Ellie wants you to head out to said residence and do some detective work. Once you approach the home owned by the Nakanos, you can talk with Kenji and Rei Nakano, whose daughter Kasumi is the one who's gone missing. After looking for clues, you'll find your last clue in the boathouse locked inside a safe. Don't worry, if your lockpicking skill isn't high enough, there's a key behind this picture. Unlock the safe, and after listening to the holotape inside, you learn that Kasumi traveled to Far Harbor to discover her true self, since she believes she is a synth. After confirming your findings with the Nakanos, Kenji suggests that you take his boat and travel out to Far Harbor. Once you board the boat and travel to Far Harbor, the quest concludes. Now, Close to Home is the final quest of the main story of Far Harbor. If you manage to convince Kasumi to come back home, her parents will welcome her back with open arms. During this conversation, you can reveal to the parents that Kasumi is a synth, or you can keep her secret. Kenji will then offer you a reward, which, if refused, will grant you only some XP. But if you do accept his reward, you'll be given about 800 caps, some ammunition, an assorted amount of items, and one guaranteed weapon with a random legendary effect. You can convince Kasumi to stay at Acadia, which pretty much plays out the same way with the parents, but if Kasumi is killed before making her decision, you can report back to her parents and only be given some XP. The quests aren't exactly difficult. I ranked these two together as Far From Home is pretty much the start of a great DLC, while Close to Home is more or less the conclusion of it. I like them both equally. 49. Cambridge Polymer Labs. When entering the Cambridge Polymer Labs building for the first time, you can talk with Molly, a Miss Nanny bot that will offer you a job to work on a project in the lab. However, once you enter the lab, you cannot leave it until you either finish the project or find a way to escape it. What the project requires is for you to recover some samples and run a fabrication routine using said samples. The specific samples you need are sample 611 or gold, sample 3111 or lithium hybrid, and the U238 radioactive material. Once they are loaded up into the polymer coating applicator, start a routine and you can watch the process of a power armor piece be crafted. Said power armor piece, called the PSO Nucleic Power Armor Chest, has a legendary status effect of increased action points refresh speed when exposed to radiation. Once you're done with this piece of the project, you'll be escorted to the director's office, which reveals that the director has turned into a feral ghoul. Molly will then inform you that your service is no longer needed and shuts down, which also concludes this quest. I found this quest to be very enjoyable, definitely one of the better quests in the game. The power armor chest piece is a nice reward for completing this quest. 48. Call to Arms. Paladin Dance wants to obtain a deep range transmitter and use it to repair the Brotherhood of Steel's communications array. He knows about a building called ArcJet Systems that might have exactly what he needs. Accepting to go with him, you and Dance travel over to ArcJet. Once inside, the place is overrun by Sims, so while searching through the building, you have to take care of the attacking Sims as well. You'll eventually come across an elevator that leads you to the ArcJet engine core. But in order to reach the top of the engine core where the transmitter is located, you first have to power up an elevator that you can take up there. From here, you need to hack a novice difficulty terminal and start the auxiliary generators. A sudden horde of Sims will then appear and attack Dance, so now you have two options. Either you go out and help Dance, or you can use the engine start button to activate the engine's core's rockets and watch it wipe out the Sims. Dance fortunately will be okay, so just take the elevator up to the control room, take out the Sims inside, and loot the deep range transmitter off of whichever Sim has the item. Once acquired, you can leave the facility through another elevator and chat with Dance once outside. From here, Dance will ask you if you have considered joining the Brotherhood, to which you can either accept to join, or you can decline the offer. Either way, Dance will also reward you with the Righteous Authority laser rifle that causes critical hits to do double damage, and the critical meter fills 15% faster. The quest also concludes after your decision about joining the Brotherhood. Again, this is another quest that I find very enjoyable, and the Righteous Authority weapon is a pretty good reward. 47. Out of the Fire. If you stumble across the Finch Farm settlement, Abraham Finch will mistake you for a member of the Forged, a faction of raiders that are obsessed with fire and currently inhabits the Saugus Ironworks, which happens to be not too far away from the farm. Abraham will also mention how his son Jake had turned on the family, stealing the family heirloom sword and joined the Forged. Abraham will ask if you can help the family with returning the sword to them. Head over to the Ironworks and find your way inside. From here you'll need to make your way to the Blast Furnace room. Here you'll find a couple of Forged members, including Slag, the leader of the Forged, and Jake Finch, Abraham's son. Jake is about to sacrifice a random settler at the request of Slag, which you do have the option to either encourage it or talk him out of doing it. Either way, a fight with Slag and his Forged members will occur, forcing you to kill them. Assuming you convince Jake to not kill the settler, you can save him and he'll head back home. Going back to the farm, a confrontation between Jake and his parents will take place. After getting some sense talked into him, Abraham will thank you and suggest that you keep the sword as a thank you. In my opinion, this is by far the best settlement-based quest in the game, not only because it has a fun background, but also because of a particular thing you can acquire during said quest. Next to the chest inside the Blast Furnace room, you can find this Picket Fences magazine. This specific issue of Picket Fences unlocks two types of statues you can build in your settlements. These statues are without a doubt the absolute best way to farm XP for quick leveling. Especially with the Idiot Savant perk, you'll get hundreds and therefore thousands of XP per construction. I know some people will call this cheating, but who cares? But besides the magazine, the quest itself is pretty fun. 46. The Heretic. Grand Zealot Richter wants you to find and kill Sister Gwyneth, a former sister of the children of Adam, and has been vandalizing the children's altars around the island. Talking with Sela Thale, she'll tell you to go and first search the holy sites for some clues. The first two places you'll go to are the Glowing Grove and the Radiant Crest Shrine. Both locations will have some torn pieces of banners that Gwyneth used to make graffiti messages. The next place you'll go to is Kawaketak Station, a campground where inside one of the cabins there is a holotape left behind by Gwyneth. Listening to the holotape, we learn that Gwyneth no longer believes that Adam is real, and also reveals that she is now located at an old ruined church. Go into this church, and once you come face to face with Gwyneth, you have three options. Either kill her as requested by Richter, convince her to leave the island, or convince her to return to the nucleus. No matter the outcome, you'll then head back to Richter, and he'll reward you with what is my personal favorite melee weapon in the game, Adam's Judgment. It's a legendary super sledge with the added effect of dealing 100% more radiation damage, with you being allowed to add the heating coil or stun pack mods to the super sledge to make it even stronger. From this weapon alone, I think it's absolutely worth going out of your way to do this quest. As for the quest itself, I like being able to have 3 different outcomes for Gwyneth, so the quest itself is a pretty good one. 45. Memory Interrupted. At the Railroad HQ, Desdemona and Carrington are discussing about the safe transport of H-222 after getting his memories altered by Dr. Amari. Pam informs the 3 of you about the increased risk of Institute activities, so they need you to go out and take care of it. After being sent to inform Dr. Amari about the change of plan, you'll then head to Malden Center to clear out the Gen 1 synths located there. You'll also get some helping hands by Glory, a synth member of the Railroad that was also sent on this mission by pure accident. After agreeing to clear out the place with her, you head inside the center and kill all the synths inside. Once the job is done, report back to Desdemona and the mission finishes. I'm not super big into Glory's character, but I do kinda like her moxie, I guess. Her humorous surprise that you both were assigned to the same job was a fun moment, I'll say that. But as for the quest itself, it's your usual, this character wants you to go to this location and kill everyone there, then report back to me and get your reward quest. Which isn't bad or anything, but there is only so much you can say about them before it becomes a cycle, you know? So all in all, it's just a fine quest. 44. The Disappearing Act. A resident of Diamond City, a bartender who works at the Dugout Inn named Earl Sterling, has gone missing. The Valentine Detective Agency wants you to put your detective hat on and try and come to a conclusion of where he went. After getting the starting point of his home, you can search it for some clues and find a surgery receipt, confirming that Earl at the least had an appointment with surgeon Dr. Croker, as confirmed by Dr. Sun once he's handed the receipt. After getting some more info out of Dr. Sun, you may notice some blood next to the surgery cellar. Once you gain access to the cellar, either by lockpicking it, bribing Dr. Sun to open it, pickpocketing the key off him, or just by convincing him to open it, inside you'll find Dr. Croker and the deceased, dismembered body of Earl Sterling. It's obvious that Croker has gone completely insane and went on to kill Sterling. Confronting Croker, you can either try to end it peacefully through a speed check, or you can just kill Croker yourself. No matter the outcome though, Croker is either killed by you or he takes his own life. After this, Dr. Sun will enter the cellar and once noticing the bodies will demand some answers. After getting your answers to Sun, head back to the agency and report your discoveries to Ellie Perkins. She'll reward you with some caps and the quest finishes. This was a pretty fun quest, though I kinda wish there was an option that led to Croker actually being arrested. There really is no big deal that there wasn't any, but would have been more interesting in the always the same outcome formula. 43. Unlikely Valentine. Speaking of somebody disappearing, after being informed about the disappearance of Detective Nick Valentine, Ellie Perkins will tell you that Nick was taken captive by a gang of triggermen led by someone by the name of Skinny Malone. Where Nick is happens to be inside Park Street Station. After arriving there and fighting your way through the triggermen guarding the station, plus the opened Vault 114, you'll spot a triggerman named Dino taunting Nick. Once Dino is dealt with, free Nick from the overseas office, chat with him, and the two of you will make a grand escape, but not before coming face to face with Skinny Malone, his girl Darla, and some of his goons. From here you can either kill them, or convince Darla to leave Skinny, which will make him so mad at us that he lets us go scot-free. Yeah, I don't think he really thought that one through. Anyway, once you're on the surface, you'll have a chat with Nick, who says he can help you with your case back at his office. Nick will then head back there and the quest concludes. Nick is definitely one of the best characters not only in this game but the entirety of the Fallout series, so basically finally unlocking him and getting one step closer to actually obtaining him as a companion is a pretty nice reward. I don't really care much for Skinny Malone or Darla or the rest of the Triggermen because they really only have any significance with this quest only, but they're fine. I guess I like Skinny Malone's whole like mafia gimmick. It's alright. 42. High Noon at the Gulch. This quest requires you to wipe out and assign a Nuka World gang to the Dry Rock Gulch Park. But once you first arrive at the park, you will be attacked by a brand new type of enemy called the Bloodworms. After you kill those Bloodworms, you'll come across either Sheriff Hawk or Sheriff Eagle, depending on where you enter the park from, and when speaking to them, they'll task you with helping some of the other actors in the park. The Giddy Up Kid needs you to track down and find his missing Giddy Up Buttercup and drop it inside the circled fence. He'll thank you by giving you the first of the 3 numbers to the safe combinations that you need to unlock in order to get a key that will lead you to the source of these bloodworms and exterminate them, making it safe for one of the gangs to move into said park. Doug Fossface requires you to serve drinks to 3 patrons who have probably waited more than 5 minutes for their drinks. After serving the drinks and taking care of some additional creatures, Doug will give you the second number to the safe combination. The third and final actor you will work with, One-Eyed Ike, will challenge you to a duel. Once he says draw, just shoot him once and he'll give you the last number to the combination. You'll then waddle your pretty behind over to the safe, unlock it, obtain the key inside, and head inside Mad Mulligan's mind. Here you'll fight against a fair amount of bloodworms that you have to kill in order to safely secure the park. Once they are dead, you can talk with one of the sheriffs again, and they'll gladly let your chosen gang to move in, so raise the flag and the quest concludes. As someone who is a fan of most Wild Western media, having not only a quest but a park surrounding it, and it being fun at that was quite enjoyable to me. The Bloodworms were an alright type of enemy too, though having one particular enemy type be introduced and completely removed once this quest is finished was kinda odd in my opinion. But besides that, the quest itself was very fun. 41. Mystery Meat. When entering Longneck Lukowski's cannery, there will be an argument between Theodore Collins and a trader named Riley regarding the quality of the stuff that Teddy here is selling. Enraged by his persistence of trying to sell more of his stuff, Riley quits and bolts out, swearing to never return. If you ask Teddy about the argument, he'll talk about a mole rat infestation in the building, which apparently is what's causing people to become sick from his product. You can offer him to help clear them out, he'll give you some cash for doing it, and on your way into the building you are, but not before Teddy wants you to not enter the basement. So, being the curious George that you are, you head into the basement anyway, where you discover that there were no mole rats but rather rat roaches, and feral ghouls. As it turns out, Teddy has been selling people canned feral ghoul meats. After making your way past the ghouls and some of the different traps that Teddy has set up, you can confront him. Knowing that his secret is now exposed, he must now kill you. However, if you don't shoot him immediately, you can take out his Mr. Handy robots and make your way up to Teddy and come face to face with him. Teddy will immediately back down and offer you caps in exchange that you don't reveal any of this to anyone. You can either accept his offer or decline it and kill him. Either way, your quest concludes after your decision. For being a quest that is sort of hidden away in the fact that it takes place in a building that you're never ever really directed towards, I found it to be mildly fun. There's also a bonus reward of a barter bobblehead that makes prices from barters 5% better, and a Tales of a Junktown Jerky Vendor magazine that also makes bartering prices better. A fine enough quest, and that's really all there is to say. 40. Jewel of the Commonwealth. Once you rescue Preston and his group from the raiders inside the Museum of Freedom, Mama Murphy will basically tell you to go to Diamond City to find help regarding your missing son. That activates this quest, and all you have to do is walk to Diamond City, gain entry after talking with Piper, and getting the guard Sullivan to open the gates. You can ask some of the people here about information about your son, to which you can be informed about the Valentine Detective Agency. Once there, Ellie Perkins will let you know about the kidnapping of Detective Valentine, and you offer your help to find him, concluding this quest. Although there is a fair bit of a distance between the museum and Diamond City itself, I do like that there is a lot of things to see and discover during your travel. Maybe you picked up a quest along the way. Maybe you found a traveling companion. Maybe you found a really cool gun or armor. Also, gaining access to Diamond City itself is great, by far my favorite major settlement in the game. And although she isn't on my top 5 favorite companions in the game, Piper is a fun enough character to be introduced to. Oh, and the mayor is cool too, I guess. Anyway, the quest for what it consists of can be either just alright or very fun, depending on how to approach it. 39. Trouble Brewing. Rufus Rubens, a mechanic found living at Hotel Rexford in Goodneighbor, will ask you about help in regards to a brewing machine that can be found at the Shamrock Tap House. Accepting his offer, you can head over to the tap house, clear the area in and around the place of the raiders, head into the basement of the tap house, kill the mole rats infesting in there, and finally activating the brewing machine. His name is Buddy, and he possesses 2 of the best traits anyone can have. He can make a slapping cold brew, and he can tell you jokes. From here, you can either take Buddy back to Rufus, or you can take Buddy for yourself and assign him to a settlement. If you direct Buddy to Rufus, he'll reward you with some caps and concludes the quest. But if you take Buddy for yourself, you have gained a rather fun Protectron that can and will microbrew you some drinks. There are different types of recipes you can find and give to Buddy, allowing him to create even more kinds of cold beers. And of course he can tell jokes, what's not to love about that? Just for Buddy alone, this quest is absolutely worth it. But outside of that, it's still a fairly fun one. 38. Getting a clue. After rescuing Nick, you can tell him the story of your missing son. Once Nick has gotten enough details, Nick comes to a possible lead to who could have taken Sean, a man by the name of Kellogg. As it turns out, Kellogg has a home here in Diamond City, but disappeared some time ago. So Nick suggests searching Kellogg's home in hopes of finding clues. Once you gain entry to his place, either by lockpicking your way in or by getting a key from the mayor, you will start searching for clues. There will be a button under Kellogg's desk that, once pushed, will reveal a secret room. There is some stuff on the small table next to the chair, including some cigars. Depending on if you have or haven't met Dogmeat yet, either you or Nick will suggest that Dogmeat should smell one of the cigars in order to get the scent and find where Kellogg has gone. After getting the scent, the quest concludes and leads into reunions. It's a fairly short quest, but a sweet one. Really, quests don't have to be super long or actiony in order to be good. I just really like this sort of whole detective work that you and Nick do. 37. Blood Tide. Cassie Dalton, a resident living at Far Harbor, is the last surviving member of the once wealthy Dalton family. When offering some help to her, Cassie will tell you a story about her family. First, she wants you to head over to the National Park campground and kill the feral ghouls located there, as a way to avenge Cassie's cousin Petey, who was attacked by the feral ghouls and later died from his injuries. Once you have dealt with them, Cassie will then ask you to head over to the Dalton farm and kill the fog crawler located there, as to avenge Cassie's grandfather George, who was killed by said crawler. Once the crawler is dead, Cassie will have one final task for you. She wants you to avenge her late husband Danny by traveling to Brooks Head Lighthouse and kill the trappers located there. After disposing of the trappers and their leader named Douglas, Cassie will tell you the story is finally over and will reward you with not only some caps and the Dalton farm as a settlement, but also the blood letter melee weapon that causes targets to bleed for an additional 25 points of damage. I like the blood letter despite it being a slow speed weapon, and the Dalton farm is an alright settlement that I don't ever really use, but it's fine enough if you want to send some random settlers to it. I also enjoyed going out and avenging Cassie's loved ones, even though I don't really care about them. Anyway, a fun quest. 36. The Gilded Grasshopper. As one of the detective files you can pick up from the Valentine Agency, you'll learn about a man called Marty Bullfinch, a former partner of Nick. According to his holotape, he describes planning a job involving the Gilded Grasshopper. He invited Nick to join him, but seemingly Nick declined his offer, and now Marty is reported as a missing person. So your job is to head over to the Fawnhill Hall, clear out the area of the super mutants, and find out what happened to Marty. Heading up to the roof, you'll discover his deceased body, but not only that. You'll also find the Gilded Grasshopper. There's a note attached to the hopper, and after reading it, we're pointed to the direction of Shem Drown's grave. Shem was a coppersmith who crafted the grasshopper. After doing some grave robbing, you can walk away with some additional loot of some gold, silver, and copper bars, as well as Shem Drown's sword, which can deal radiation damage to enemies. Shem's own skull is also lootable, I guess? And you can also find a note titled Fear Not. All that this note really says is, the guy who made the sword is the devil, dude, but only badass people can use it. Digging up Shem's grave also concludes the quest. It's your usual clear out an area and get your loot type of quest, but I did find some enjoyment with this quest. Having to dig up a grave was also interesting, more so if the fact that the skull of Shem is a lootable item. So yeah, a fun enough quest. 35. The Big Dig. Bobby No-Nose, a ghoul resident living in Good Neighbor, wants to hire you for a job regarding building a tunnel that leads directly under the Diamond City strong room. Accept her offer and you'll start digging. Unfortunately, there seems to be a bit of a Mirelurk problem, so after dispatching of them and recouping with Bobby, she asks for help with breaking one of her friends out of the Diamond City jail, a man by the name of Mel, a tech expert who Bobby needs help from in order to continue their work. After getting Mel out of jail and having a chat with him, you'll head back to Bobby's place where the real work can begin. Mel modified an iBot used for tunneling named Sonia. In order to reach Diamond City from Good Neighbor, you'll have to travel a fair amount of distance and use Sonia to create new tunnels by blasting down some walls. After traversing for a bit, the group finally comes to their spot, though Mel has his suspicions that we aren't quite under the strong room, or Diamond City for that matter. Bobby's all like, trust me bro, so we go ahead with blasting one final wall and then use Sonia to do an ultimate blast under the strong room. This makes the ceiling collapse, though Sonia is out for the count. Fortunately, there is an open door that leads into the strong room, and we're not in the Diamond City strong room. In fact, we're inside Mayor Hancock's storeroom. From here, you can either convince Bobby to leave the storeroom, side with her and loot the storeroom, or you can kill Bobby. Siding with Fahrenheit or not, your ultimate reward for this quest is the Ashmaker, a minigun that sets targets on fire for 15 points of damage. One last reward for completing this quest is that you get Hancock as an available companion. I'll be honest, I'm not super big into this quest. I always felt like it was a bit long, and maybe this is just me, but I would get lost in the subway area at least once. But having played this game so many times and having done this quest sometimes too, I can see why people do enjoy the quest. The Ashmaker is a nice reward, as well as getting Hancock as a companion, so it's not all that bad. 34. Power Play. After doing some work with the gangs of Nuka World, it turns out one of the gangs are actually quite furious with you. Shank wants you to head over to the Nuka World power plant and meet with the other gang leaders that haven't lost their mind, so that you and them can group together and take down the rogue gang. From here, you'll head up to the power plant, clear the area out while making your way to the top of the plant, where you'll meet the rogue leader and you have to kill them. After killing them, you can loot the control room key off their body, enter said control room and activate the main power switch, enabling power to the entirety of Nuka World. After restoring power, head back to Gage and talk with him to conclude the quest. Depending on who didn't turn against you, you can get 2 of 3 perks. The operators will give you the Ace Operator perk, which decreases your visibility in the shadows by 10% and increases your damage with Silence Weapon by 25%. The packs will give you the Pack Alpha perk, which increases your damage resistance by 25% and increases your unarmed and melee damage by 25% as well. And the Disciples will give you the Chosen Disciple perk, which causes melee kills to restore 25% of your action points. In the case of my playthrough, it was the pack who turned against me, so I ended up with the Chosen Disciple and the Ace Operator perks. Also, seeing Nuka World regain its power was a cool sight to see, and of course bulldozing through the enemy gang is always fun to do. 33. Long Road Ahead. After traveling around with McCready for a while and increasing your affinity with him, he'll put his trust in you and ask you to help him take care of some folks that he feared might be gunning for him sooner or later. Those folks being Winlock and Barnes, a pair of gunners that McCready used to run with. They can be found located at Mass Pike Interchange, so just go there and kill them along with the other gunners found there. Once they are dispatched off, McCready thanks you and will continue to travel with you. After some time traveling, McCready will ask for help with his son, Duncan. As it turns out, Duncan has a disease that will kill him unless he is given a cure. McCready knows where the cure could be, which happens to be inside the MedTech Research Lab. McCready will also give you the containment overrider password that needs to be used in order to get said cure. Once at the lab, you'll search through the building, killing ghouls along the way before you finally come across the cure. You'll then take the cure to Daisy in Good Neighbor, who will safely deliver the cure using her caravan and thus concludes the quest. I do think McCready is a good character, but he personally ain't one of my favorites. But knowing the context of this quest, it does have that feel-good moment once you obtain the cure. And the quest itself, it was pretty fun. 32. Confidence Man. Vadim Bobrov, the owner of the Dugout Inn, has an idea to make the Diamond City radio more listenable. That's by giving the radio's host, Travis Miles, some confidence. Vadim first sets up a staged fight at the Dugout Inn. You will provide backup for Travis as he fights two hired raiders by the name of Bull and Gouger. You can help Travis win, have him lose, or just straight out kill Bull and Gouger. No matter what, the quest will advance. The second stage of Vadim's plan is for you to seek out Scarlet, a waitress who works at the inn. Vadim wants you to chat with her and ask her to go meet with Travis. She can be found not too far away from the city's farm area, and when talking to her, you can either persuade her to meet Travis, intimidate her, or bribe her. Once this part is done, head back to the inn, where you'll learn from Vadim's brother Yefim that Vadim has been kidnapped by the raiders he hired. Yefim asks you to go to Travis for some possible help, who then suggests maybe heading out to the Beantown Brewery as the most likely spot the raiders are at. After gearing up and getting some words of encouragement, you and Travis head inside the brewery and kill the raiders there. Fortunately, Vadim is alive by the time you get there, and you save him. Vadim will thank you and Travis for your rescue, before Travis thanks you for your help and seems to have gotten more confident with himself, concluding the quest. From here on out, Travis' nerve seems to be more or less non-existent when listening to him on the radio, which is something that isn't the worst, but I do think I prefer the old Travis. But besides that, this was a neat quest that I find enjoyment in doing almost all the time. 31. Duty or Dishonor. According to Lance Captain Kells, there have been reports of supplies from the logistics department going missing, and he wants you to go and investigate the case. Heading down to the department, you can talk with a few select Brotherhood of Steel members. Night Sergeant Gavel will completely deny the accusations and say it's a waste of time. But where the plot thickens is when you chat with both Knight Lucia and Initiate Clark. Clark will basically say that the place is completely secured and on watch 24/7, so really nobody could be stealing from the place. Lucia, however, is worried that Clark may be hiding something from the Brotherhood. She suggests that you shadow him and follow wherever he goes. Doing some shadow work on Clark leads you into the Boston Airport ruins, where you have to fight your way through some feral ghouls before coming face to face with Clark. As it turns out, Clark had been stealing supplies in order to feed the feral ghouls located under the airport. Clark would tell you a story about how he had a friend that became a ghoul, and that sort of changed his perspective on ghouls in general. He asks you to not do anything to the ghouls, just leave them alone and do not tell anyone. You can either keep his secret, have him turn himself into the Brotherhood, convince him to leave, or kill him. If you either convince Clark to leave or kill him, then Kells will reward you with some caps. But if you convince Clark to turn himself in, you will be granted a legendary T60 torso piece that has a 10% reduction in AP cost while using VATS. Similarly to getting a clue, I like the whole finding clues aspect to this quest, and finding out the truth was fun with the addition of the 4 possible outcomes. A pretty fun quest. 30. Mass Fusion, and 29. Spoils of War. These two are pretty much the exact same, the only difference is the faction you sided with. These two quests sees you scavenging the mass fusion facility in order to secure a beryllium agitator, which can be used by the Brotherhood of Steel to power up Liberty Prime, or by the Institute to jumpstart the reactor. If you side with the Institute, you get the mass fusion quest, which sees you and Allie Fillmore being transported to the roof of the mass fusion building. Obtaining the executive keycard, you take a ride down the elevator while fighting up Brotherhood of Steel members. If you side with the Brotherhood, you'll get the Spoils of War quest, which sees you and Proctor Ingram being flown on top of the building, clearing the roof of the Sims before getting the executive keycard and taking the elevator while fighting off more Sims. From this point on, both quests becomes pretty much identical. You fight through enemies through the reactor level and making your way into the reactor chamber. From here you'll unlock the reactor, take the beryllium agitator, get rid of the robot security, and exit mass fusion. Depending on which side you chose, you'll either give Allie or Ingram the agitator once back at camp, and after doing some more talking, the quest ends. A pretty decent main story quest that has a good amount of action. I do like the Brotherhood variant of the quest over the Institute, mostly because I prefer the Brotherhood over the Institute. 28. Pigman's Gift. So this is technically a sheet. Pigman's Gift doesn't technically start until after you save Pigman, but in hopes that you guys could give me a free pass on this one, I'll be ranking the entirety of the whole Pigman quest. During your travels across the Commonwealth, you can come across Pigman Gallery, a building that, as the name labels it, is a gallery. But once you enter it, something is wrong. First off, there are raiders in the building, but on top of that, the paintings aren't exactly what you would see on an actual gallery. The painting seems like the works of a madman, which would sorta explain the numerous bodies, guts, blood, and coffins found in the gallery as well. Making your way into the basement, coming across more bodies and these calling cards from a man called Pigman. Further advancing through the basement and fighting off more raiders, you can come across a trio of raiders holding a well-dressed man at gunpoint. Saving the man from the raiders, we learn that this dressed man is in fact Pigman, the one responsible for the scenes we saw at the gallery. Fortunately, Pigman will thank you for your timely rescue and will give you a key that can be used back at the gallery by removing one of the paintings called Picnic for Stanley. Behind it is a safe that you can unlock, containing a thank you letter from Pigman and Pigman's Blade, a legendary fast melee weapon that deals bleed damage to enemies. Unlocking the safe, the quest concludes. On top of really liking the Pigman's Blade weapon, the quest itself is pretty unique and the gallery itself is one of the most unique places to discover in the game. It's unfortunate that Pigman sort of drops out of existence after this. I feel like Diamond City Radio reporting on Pigman would have been a fun addition at least, though I'm not kept up at night thinking about this. Just kinda wish there was more to Pigman than a relatively short quest. Besides that though, I still really enjoyed it. 27. Airship Down. In order for the Institute to teleport synths into the Boston airport, you are tasked with taking down the electromagnetic shield surrounding the base by infiltrating a poorly guarded part of the airport and destroying these generators. Once that is done, your next target is Liberty Prime. Here, a synth has to hack Liberty Prime and reprogram it so that it can destroy the Pridwin. After defending the synth from the Brotherhood, you'll have to evacuate the airport, get to a safe distance, and watch the Pridwin get taken down, and also concluding the quest. The visual of the Pridwin coming down is always going to be cool to me, personally. Also, fighting through the Brotherhood was also fun. I also do like the aspect of the different named Brotherhood of Steel members also fighting you, and not just a bunch of unnamed initiates or knights. A pretty fun quest overall. 26. Synth Retention. Sean will request you to help him with regaining a rogue synth named Gabriel. He was last spotted over at Libertalia, and heading over there, you'll meet X688, a courser that will help you with capturing the synth. Finding your way through the boats and eventually up on top of the ship, X688 will give you Gabriel's recall code, which can be used to shut down Gabriel and prevent him from attacking and being killed. You can use the code or just kill Gabriel, either way. Once the other raiders are dealt with, head back to the Institute and talk with Sean. He will reward your work with your own quarters in the Institute. When you enter your quarters, the quest finishes. Libertalia is without a doubt one of my absolute favorite locations in Fallout 4. I just love the idea of linking all of these boats together and making traversable platforms and stuff. You can also obtain the Le Fusil Terribles, a legendary combat shotgun that has 25% damage and limb damage, but at the cost of increased recoil. It's an alright gun in my opinion, but absolutely worth picking up. Anyway, for this quest, I really like it. 25. Reformation. After uncovering the truth about Dima killing and replacing Captain Avery, you can agree to keep Dima's secret hidden. Following this, Dima suggests a plan to replace High Confessor Tectus, the leader of the Children of Adam, in order to ensure peace between the factions on Far Harbor. Agreeing to his plan, you have to first scout out the previous High Confessor Martin's holotapes and bring them back to Dima. Dima will alter the holotape to make it sound like Martin is alive and is coming to kill Tectus. After showing this doctored holotape to Tectus, he'll agree to meet you in the command center. From here, you can either convince Tectus to flee or just kill him. Once you have made your decision, return back to Dima, and you'll also meet the replacement Tectus. Interacting with Dima, he will reward you with the Protector of Acadia perk, which grants you 1000% damage and energy resistance for 30 seconds when you reach 20 HP. And with this, the quest concludes. You can also go to the new Tectus, who will also reward you with the Adam's Bulwark, a chest piece that increases your damage and energy resistance the higher your rad meter is. And talking with Captain Avery in Far Harbor, she'll reward you with some caps for granting the island peace. This was a pretty good quest. I do like the sort of questioning of morale when it comes to keeping Dima's secret of killing and replacing Avery, then doing the exact same thing against Tectus just so that nobody will ever find out what he actually did. It may not be the most exciting or epic quest in the game, but for basically being an ending to the Far Harbor DLC, I do really like it. 24. End of the line. Before you can go and take down the Brotherhood of Steel, Sean informs you about the railroad. Knowing that you had done work with them, Sean informs you that they are indeed a threat and wants you to take care of them. Agreeing to his quest, you head over to the railroad HQ and confront Desdemona. From here you can either side with the railroad, which will immediately end the quest and start underground undercover, or you can carry out Sean's order and get rid of the railroad. Once that is done, you'll talk with Sean again and the quest concludes. It's a really short quest, but again, it has enough to it to be enjoyable. Of course, wiping out the railroad is always something I tend to do anyway. Also, declaring your intention of destroying the railroad to Desdemona while you have Deacon as your companion will always be fun to me. So, a short, simple, but a nice quest. 23. Tactical Thinking. From one killing the railroad quest to the other one, tactical thinking is the end of the line but for the Brotherhood. Captain Kels wants you to wipe out the railroad, so you head over there and take care of Dr. Carrington inside his church. Entering the basement, you'll have to breach the door leading into the HQ and kill the remaining members. From here you can also either destroy Pam or reprogram her so that the Brotherhood can use her. After making your choice, report back to Kels and the quest concludes. Everything that I said about End of the Line can be applied to this quest as well, but tactical thinking felt more impactful, if that makes sense. So I enjoyed this one more than End of the Line. 22, the Nuclear Option Brotherhood, 21, the Nuclear Option Minutemen, and 20, the Nuclear Option Railroad. Again, these three are pretty much the exact same, so I'm ranking these three in one go. After gaining entry to the Institute with help from one of the other factions, you'll battle your way through the Institute and try to shut down the reactor. Unfortunately, the Advanced Systems area, which hosts the reactor, is locked and the only way to unlock it is to override the Institute lockdown using Sean's terminal. Before you reach his terminal, you can actually talk with Sean as he's dying if you choose to do so. Once at his terminal, you just override the lockdown and you should be granted access to the reactor. Once you reach it, plant the fusion pulse charge inside the reactor and talk with the faction leader you sided with and you'll be transported back to the relay room. But before you can leave, Synth Sean appears and here you can decide to either take him with you or leave him to die. Once your choice is made, you'll be transported on top of the mass fusion building, where you can press this button and finally destroy the Institute. The credits then rolls and the quest concludes. This also means that the main story of Fallout 4 has concluded. I personally feel that this, or these quests rather, were pretty decent overall. Fighting against the Institute was fun and that final talk with Sean was alright as well. The involvement of Synth Sean was... okay, I'm not gonna lie, I really don't give a shit about Synth Sean, I always leave him. I couldn't care less for him. But of course, the ending visual of the Institute blowing up is pretty cool. Okay, so to explain these rankings though, I put the Brotherhood as my least favorite just because of Liberty Prime and the 10-minute long walk it actually takes to reach the CIT ruins. The Minutemen as my second favorite because the way you enter the Institute is more interesting, I guess. And the Railroad as my favorite of the three because you can just teleport to the Institute to activate the quest. 19. Cleansing the Land. After discovering Dima's secret, you can recover a wind turbine code and a nuclear launch key that Dima had hidden. Once the key is recovered, this quest will begin, and if you were to follow this quest, you're left with two options. Either destroy Far Harbor or destroy the nucleus. If you choose to destroy Far Harbor, you'll head to the wind farm maintenance and enter the kill switch code into a terminal. Doing so will shut down the electricity that is used to keep the fog condensers running, which will basically shut Far Harbor's defenses down and get overrun by the different creatures living on the island. After activating the kill switch, return to Tectus and he'll reward you with the previously mentioned Adam's Bulwark and either one of the Crusader of Adam or the Inquisitor of Adam perks. Both perks have the exact same effect of providing weapon damage bonuses the higher your rad counter is. This quest also concludes here. However, if you decide to destroy the nucleus instead, you'll have to enter the nuclear launch key into the vessel inside the nucleus. Doing so could turn the children of Adam hostile, though there is a possibility of convincing Tectus that the key's insertion was the will of Adam. After inserting the key though, you have about 30 seconds to escape the nucleus. After those 30 seconds, the nucleus blows up, awarding you the Far Harbor Survivalist perk, which gives you +5 to all resistances, and the quest concludes. You can get some additional caps as well for your work from Captain Avery if you talk with her afterwards. I like the multiple choices you have with this quest, and seeing the nucleus blow up and Far Harbor be completely decimated by fog crawlers and gulpers are admittedly a sight. So yeah, a pretty fun quest. 18. Emergent Behavior. After traveling around with Curry for a bit, she'll have a personal quest for you. She basically states that her being a robot has reached its limits to what could be worked on her pre-war research and now wants to become a human in order to further her research. Agreeing to do so, you'll take Curry to Dr. Amari in Goodneighbor, who agrees to give Curry a synth body. Fortunately, due to Amari's affiliation with the railroad, she should have no problem finding Curry a body. All she requires is 1 day of getting into contact with the railroad, to which Curry agrees to stay with Amari for those 24 hours. After waiting a full 24 hours in game, head back to Amari, and here you will either meet Glory or an unnamed caretaker along with a vegetative synth. Either by passing a speech check with Glory or just by talking with the caretaker, the procedure is a success, turning Curry into a synth, and after some basic cognitive function tests, the quest concludes. It's a fairly straightforward and basic quest that's pretty enjoyable. Having Curry experience new human emotions was a neat little touch too, and, well, it's Curry. How can you possibly hate Curry? Also, this is not an addition to why I ranked this high, but believe it or not, Synth Curie is actually significantly better than her Miss Nanny variant on the technical stance, as Synth Curie's HP stat is 670. For comparison, Strong's base HP stat is 245, making Synth Curie one of the generally strongest companions in the game, if not the entire series. 17. The Way Life Should Be. After finding out about Dima's killing of Captain Avery, you can choose to confront Dima. Doing so, you can either agree to keep the secret and replace Tectus, which will end the quest and start Reformation, or you can convince Dima to stand trial for his murder. Dima will then travel to Far Harbor and confess his doing. Allan, the loudmouth asshole resident of Far Harbor, will do the ultimate task of executing Dima. Allan can also incite the crowd to go and destroy Acadia. If you haven't provided enough help for the residents of Far Harbor, they'll agree to attack Acadia, to which you'll join them in doing. Oh, and they'll also kill Brooks too, I guess. Once everyone living at Acadia has been killed, including Kasumi, Allan will reward you with the Lucky Eddy, a legendary lever action rifle that provides +2 to the luck stat, as well as the Destroyer of Acadia perk, where you'll deal 4 times the normal damage once your health drops below 20% for 30 seconds. If you have done enough work for Far Harbor, Acadia won't be destroyed, and instead only Dima will be killed, though you won't be awarded with the Lucky Eddy or the perk. But if you decide not to confront Dima about Avery's murder, you can go and inform Far Harbor about it first. Presenting Avery's skull to Allan, you can confirm that it is her skull with help from Teddy. Once that has been confirmed, you can either confront Avery and promise to keep her secret, or not, your choice, or you can tell Allan. Confirming with Allan, he'll execute Avery, and the storming of Acadia will ensue, with the same outcome as previously talked about. This quest is one of the other endings to the Far Harbor story, and with the intensity of the situation, again, I like the multiple choices you are given. A pretty good quest. 16. The Battle of Bunker Hill. After retaining Gabriel from Libertalia, Shaw will inform you about some escaped synths that have been protected by the railroad located at Bunker Hill. Sean wants you to go and find these synths and bring them back. After this, you can also go and inform both the Railroad and the Brotherhood if you choose to do so. Once near Bunker Hill, you can meet up with X418, an Institute Courser, and start an assault on Bunker Hill. From here, you have to make your way inside Bunker Hill and enter a small hatch that will lead you underground and to the escaped synths. From here, you have 3 possible options. Either you can carry out Sean's request by issuing their reset codes, you can kill them on behalf of the Brotherhood, or you can kill the Courser and leave the synths alone. No matter the outcome, you'll soon meet with Sean on top of the CIT ruins. He'll either applaud you for your successful retention of the synths, or he will demand answers on what went wrong at Bunker Hill. If you get the latter outcome, you can get some dialogue options that could see you get banished from the Institute, so be careful about what you actually say. If you are successful in explaining yourself, Sean will be upset but knows that you're still with the Institute. After this, Sean invites you to join a meeting he has planned, concluding the quest, and starts the Mankind Redefined quest. Again, a multiple choice quest that I really like. The battle itself is a cool scene too, I feel, and the options to inform one of the other factions is nice as well. Overall, a really good quest. 15. A Magical Kingdom. The Kitty Kingdom is a park in Nuka World you need to clear out and have one of your gang members move into. But when you enter for the first time, you may notice that not only are there radioactive mist being spread around the park, but there's also someone taunting you over your Pip-Boy, or some speakers, I actually don't know, but obviously you need to stop whoever's doing this. You'll start by investigating some of the different parts of the park. Inside the King Cola's court, a glowing non-feral ghoul named Oswald the Outrageous makes his presence known, clearly being the one behind the mist and the taunts. As it turns out, Oswald is magical and will use it to fight you. He starts by bringing some of the dead ghouls back to life and have them attack you. After taking care of them, you continue your hunt and end up inside the employee tunnels. Here you can observe Oswald talking to a feral ghoul, seemingly having a one-sided conversation with it. Enter the room they're in, Oswald will disappear once more and you'll kill the ghoul. Heading back out and into a new area, you'll now go through the Funhouse. Just like most real parks, the Funhouse includes things such as a booby-trapped mirror maze, a treadmill floor, a flooded bottle jump room, some hypno halls, a topsy-turvy room, and lastly a spinning room. Once you've made your way through the Funhouse, you can now leave out the front door and have one final encounter with Oswald. Going back to the court, you can take the elevator up to the roof and come face to face with Oswald. As it turns out, Oswald had been trying to protect the ghouls found in the park because he believes that there is some sort of cure that his girlfriend, a fellow non-feral ghoul named Rochelle Watkins, is out looking for. You can either convince him to go and find her in case she needs help, you can just kill him, or you can tell him the truth that there most likely isn't any cure for ghoulification, either by passing a speed check or by providing him with a holotape that can be looted off Rachel's body, which can be found in Bradburton, an old company town from before the Great War. If you do manage to convince him to leave, or just kill him and loot his body, you can get his Sword of Wonders, a legendary Chinese officer sword that ignores 30% of an enemy's damage and energy resistance, Oswald's Top Hat, which raises your charisma and perception stats by 1 point, and increases your movement speed by 10% when worn, and only possible if you do kill him, but his Magical Tuxedo, which raises your charisma and endurance stats by 1 point and reduces the amount of damage taken from humans by 15% when worn. Once Oswald is dealt with, you raise the flag of whichever gang you want to move in here, and the quest concludes. Although the Nuka World DLC is not the best I've ever played in the series, I will admit that it does have some very fun quests. I had a lot of really fun time doing this quest, and was genuinely surprised by how much enjoyment I got from this one in particular, since the other similarly structured quest from this DLC was either really dull or really boring to me. The Funhouse was fun to explore, seeing Oswald have a one-sided discussion with the feral ghoul was a funny sight. Also, Oswald's Top Hat is without a doubt one of the best legendary cosmetics in the game, more so to do with the increased movement speed bonus. His sword is okay and his suit is fine too, though I don't really rave about them. But conclude this, I had a lot of fun with this quest. 14. Trip to the Stars. Speaking of Nuka World quests that I found surprisingly fun, Trip to the Stars sees you helping the Hubologists located a fair distance away from the actual Nuka World. Dara Hubel, one of the Hubologists, asks you for help with their plan. What's their plan, you may ask? Well, they're planning on repairing a UFO so that they can use it to travel to another planet. She will need 5 spacesuits, which can be found over at the Vault Tech Among the Stars exhibit. Once that is done, head back to Dara and give her the suits. The rest of the Hubologist camp will suit up and make their way over to the Nuka World junkyard where the UFO is located. Along the way you'll have to fend off against some creatures, but once you make it to the junkyard, you have to clear out the robots located there. Once they are dealt with, report back to Dara and the Hubologist will assemble at the UFO. Dara will reward you with the hub's Alien Blaster, a legendary alien blaster gun that makes critical shots deal double the damage and fills the crit meter 15% faster. From here you need to insert 3 fusion cores into the power distribution panel, as well as having to recover a power distributor from a nearby barn. Once they have been installed, you and the Hubologist will enter the UFO and go for a spin. Literally. Once that is done, talk with Dara and she'll thank you for your help, awarding you with the remaining ammunition for the blasters you promised and concluding the quest. You can actually insert 4 fusion cores instead of just the 3, but doing so will cause Dara and the Hubologist to perish during the ride, with the quest concluding after that. As someone who really enjoyed the classic Interplay Fallout games, seeing the Hubologist being used in the modern Fallout title was pretty sweet. The Alien Blaster isn't my personal favorite weapon in the game, but it's a neat reward as a gun itself isn't a very common one. A very fun quest. 13. The Devil's Due. If you head over to the Salem Museum of Witchcraft, you can find the body of Private Heart. Looting her body, you can find a holotape. Listening to the holotape, it's obvious that her and the others heard on the holotape were running and hiding from something. Entering through the cellar into the basement, the building will shake, even more blooded bodies will be found, and whatever killed these people is definitely still around as you can hear growling. Making your way up through the building, you may not only notice the creepy mannequins, but soon enough, the creature that had been terrorizing these folks, a Deathclaw. After dealing with the Deathclaw, you can find the body of Sergeant Lee, who also has a holotape on him. Listening to it, it's revealed that Lee, Hart, and the other gunners found dead were tasked with acquiring a pristine Deathclaw egg that was supposed to be sold to Wellingham, a Mr. Handy robot that serves the guests at the Colonial Tap House in Diamond City. At the museum, you can actually find a pristine Deathclaw egg that you can sell to Wellingham for a price, plus you get the Wellingham's recipe, a food item that is made by using 1 pristine Deathclaw egg, 1 Tato, and a carton of dirty water. However, instead of selling it to Wellingham, you can also return the egg to its nest, located a little northwest of the Parsons State Insane Asylum. Returning the egg instead, you can obtain the Deathclaw Gauntlet, a non-legendary melee weapon. Upon selling the egg or returning it, the quest concludes. I do really like the horror aspect of when you first enter the building, and the Deathclaw not really appearing until you further advanced into the museum was a cool touch as well. Having the decision of selling the egg or returning it to its nest were some nice options too. A really cool quest. 12. Rite of Passage. After providing help for the people of Far Harbor, Teddy will have you do something called the Captain's Dance as a way to assure you gain respect from the different harbor folks. He tells you to travel to Emmett's Causeway, where you'll also meet with Dottie, a guy who is here to witness you complete the dance and confirm it to the people of Far Harbor. To start, you just have to drop some meat-related food into the waters and fight the Mirelurks that comes out. After doing it twice and taking care of those Mirelurks, a legendary Queen Mirelurk will spawn. Killing her, you can now return to Far Harbor, and here Teddy will confirm that you did the Captain's Dance, making you now one of Far Harbor's people. As a reward, Teddy will give you the Captain's Hat, a legendary cosmetic that will raise your intelligence by 2 points and increases your movement speed by 10%. Just like Oswald's top hat, this is one of the best legendary cosmetics in the game, just for the additional movement speed bonus alone. As for the quest itself, it's pretty good. Killing the Mirelurks are fun, and with this Queen Mirelurk being legendary guaranteed 100% of the time, you will always walk away with an additional legendary item, as well as some Queen Mirelurk meats that you can cook. A pretty good quest that is worth doing just for the Captain's Hat alone. 11. Rocket's Red Glare. After clearing Cambridge Police Station off of Brotherhood of Steel members, you'll be given some explosive charges by Deacon that will be used to take down the Prydwen. Boarding the vertibird found on top of the station, you, Deacon, and Tinker Tom will fly over to the Prydwen while disguised as members of the Brotherhood. Once arrived at the Prydwen, you can equip the disguise and blend in. From here, you need to ensure that you don't get caught or sussed out by the members by completely avoiding them or by passing some varying levels of difficult speed checks. Fail a speed check and your cover is blown. All you have to do when inside the ship is to plant the explosives Deacon gave to you, board the vertibird again, and make your grand escape. After flying to a safe distance, the Prydwen is blown up, concluding the quest. This quest took me by surprise. Normally whenever I would get this quest, I would always enter guns blazing, but to be honest, the whole blending in aspect to this quest was really fun to me, especially for someone who really enjoys games with stealth mechanics. Convincing the Brotherhood members through speed checks was fun too, and I'm not gonna lie, seeing Tinker Tom struggling with the vertibird were very fun to witness. So the quest was very fun. 10. Diamond City Blues. After entering the Colonial Tap House in Diamond City for the first time, a fight between Paul Pembroke and Henry Cook takes place. After getting his ass kicked, Paul will leave and go home. Later, Paul will ask you to provide backup for him as he's going back to the Tap House to confront Henry. Agreeing to this, you'll follow Paul to the Tap House. Once there, Paul will pull out a gun on Henry. You can either convince Paul to back down and hear Henry out, or you can encourage Paul to shoot Henry. No matter the outcome though, here you'll learn about a deal taking place outside of the city. Either by going there alone or by taking Paul and or Henry with you, you come across some drug dealers. After killing the dealers, one of them, named Trisha, will beg for her life, offering to give up the location to Marowski's hidden chem lab in exchange for her life. Passing a speech check, she'll also give you the terminal password to the lab. If you don't get the password, you will have to pass a level 3 terminal hack. You can also choose to kill Trish or let her go after the conversation with her. Making your way over to the 4-leaf fish packing plant, you can gain access to the hidden chem lab, and once you enter it, the quest concludes. Although the chem lab is never really used by me during playthroughs, the best part about this quest is the large amount of chems you actually get from busting the deal. Also, if you do not kill Trish, then Malcolm Latimer, the father of Nelson Latimer who was there at the deal and was one of the casualties, will accuse you of murdering his son. Unless you convince him that you didn't kill Nelson, Malcolm will hire Triggerman to kill you. Also, if you travel to Diamond City after some time, you can meet with Colette Cook, the daughter of Henry Cook. She'll ask you about his whereabouts, to which you can either lie or be honest with her. The quest is really fun with some really cool after quest effects like with Colette and Malcolm. Also, the chems you get is a really great amount. 9. Restoring order. After installing the MSAT on Ada and finally managing to pinpoint the Mechanist's location, you and Ada set out to find him. As it turns out, the Mechanist lair is inside, or rather under, the Robco Sales and Service Center. From here you will require the assistance from Ada to open some of the reinforced doors while also fighting your way through the Mechanist spots and eventually coming face to face with the Mechanist. Of course, the Mechanist is still hellbent on killing you, so you have to fight more of his bots. After a few minutes of fighting and surviving, a power failure occurs, shutting all the remaining bots offline. Knowing he has no real way of defeating you without the bots, the Mechanist agrees to have a discussion with you. If you manage to pass the speech check here, you can convince the Mechanist to take his, or rather her, helmet off. If successful, we learn that the person behind the Mechanist was Isabel Cruz, a character who, from what I know, has no history with the Fallout games. Isabel is under the impression that the bots found in the Commonwealth are doing exactly as they were told to, which was to protect and help the people of the Commonwealth. But as we have learned ourselves, the bots seem to have misinterpreted her orders, which was even confirmed by one of her own robo-brains. She will still be in denial, but after some more talking, she'll eventually come around to it and realize her big whoopsies. From here you can kill her, or you can tell her to step down as the Mechanist, to which she agrees to almost immediately. No matter your choice though, you'll be given the master control password to the terminal, and using this, you can cancel the security alert and take control over the facility. After reevaluating the situation with Ada, the quest concludes. If you interact with Isabel after the quest, she'll give you the Mechanist suit and helmet as a sign of her officially giving up the Mechanist for good. The suit itself provides a 15% reduced damage bonus from robots, and the helmet raises your charisma and intelligence stats by 1 point. Although I found the other Automatron DLC quest to be just alright or mediocre, this final quest is absolutely one of the best that the game has ever seen. I probably don't have to say this, but these upcoming 8 quests are, in my opinion, quests that are absolutely worth going your way out of and doing them, this one included. The Mechanist has a cool design, the reveal that it wasn't actually a dude in the suit, Ada is an underrated companion, the Robot Workshop is a fun thing to mess around with, and yeah, I see very little wrong with this quest. My only negative point about this quest is the reward of the Mechanist lair becoming an available settlement. If you don't know, the lair is usually found on most people's worst settlements in the game, as you can't actually grow any food there, you can't add water source, and worst of all, settlers can't be sent to live here. But besides that, this is an incredibly fun quest. 8. Blind Betrayal. Sometime after hacking into the network of the Institute's mainframe, it is discovered that Paladin Dance had been a synth this whole time. Knowing the stance on the synths that the Brotherhood has, Elder Maxon has tasked you with tracking down Dance and execute him. While talking to Proctor Quinlan about Dance's current whereabouts, Scribe Halen tries to make a case with you in regards to Dance, attempting to convince you not to kill him. After making no promises, you head over to Listening Post Bravo, where there are a few turrets and Protectrons defending the area. Dispatching of those, you can find Dance in the basement of the post. Being completely dejected from the situation, Dance doesn't put up much of a resistance, and in fact encourages you to carry out Max's plan. From here you can carry out the plan, or you can choose to spare Dance. Once you've made your choice, you can make your way out of the post, but once you step outside, Elder Maxon will make his appearance. If you carried out Maxon's plan, then this interaction won't happen, but keeping Dance alive will trigger this interaction. Furious that Dance isn't dead yet, Maxon will demand you to still kill Dance, while Dance himself tries to explain himself and tries to make Maxon get an understanding. Here you can either choose to kill Dance, or you can convince Maxon that Dance should be kept alive. Failing to convince Maxon will end with Dance dead, but if successful, Dance will only be considered dead by the Brotherhood, but will have a permanent ban from the Brotherhood and interacting with them in any way. Dance will then thank you, and you'll make your way over to the Trede to report back to Maxon, even though you literally just spoke with him. Anyway, here Maxon will reward you with the rank of Paladin, as well as the remaining belongings of Dance, including his living quarters and his set of T60 power armor. The quest concludes after your interaction with Maxon. If you're somebody who loves Paladin Dance and his character, I can see why this would be one of your favorite quests in the game. Having the option to kill Dance for being what the Brotherhood is against is a nice situation based entirely on what is morally right. Do you kill him for being exactly what the Brotherhood is fighting against? Or do you let him live because he himself had no idea that he was a synth and fought for the Brotherhood? Now, this quest could easily rank in the top 5 for some people, but there's just one thing that's preventing me from doing it. I find Paladin Dance to be a very boring companion. Don't get me wrong, I don't think he's terrible or anything, I just feel like he's devoid of any personality really. Yes, I know that he is, or rather was, a member of the Brotherhood, but that doesn't really change my mind. Despite that though, I can still appreciate this quest for what it is. I always end up saving Dance because I do believe that is the right choice here. A very good quest that questions morale, and I tend to find that sort of situation to be interesting. 7. Brain Dead. After doing some work around Far Harbor, a Miss Nanny robot named Pearl can appear outside of Far Harbor. She will ask if you are the detective sent to investigate a situation over at the Cliff's Edge Hotel. Getting some more info out of Pearl, she can reveal that there has been a murder and needs you to get to the bottom of it. Making your way over to the hotel itself, you'll find the entrance to Vault 118. Talking with someone named Maxwell over the intercom, you can tell him that you are the detective they hired and they'll let you in. Getting some more info out of Maxwell, he'll take you to the scene of the crime. Here you'll find the body of Ezra Parker, the owner of this hair hotel. Searching the area for clues, you can discover the broken brain incubator on Ezra, the murder weapon which was a baseball bat, and a red paint can hidden behind a curtain not too far away from the weapon. Bringing the murder weapon to Maxwell, he informs you that the specific bat belongs to Keith McKinney, a former actor living in this vault, though Maxwell does recommend speaking with all the different residents of the vault. To quickly cover the different residents of Vault 118, we have the previously mentioned Keith McKinney, but also Juliana Riggs, a former investor and heiress, and her husband Bert Riggs, a former lead scientist for the General Atomics International, Gilda Brosco, a former actress and current parent of Keith McKinney, and lastly, we have Santiago Avila, an artist who has taken inspiration from Ezra's death, I guess. You can go around to the different residents and question them about the murder, the weapon used, and so on. After doing some detective work, Gilda will tell you a story of how Ezra and Juliana got into an argument about finances, and Juliana eventually found something in the overseer's office that set her off. Juliana accused Ezra of something, though it wasn't specified of what exactly. From here, you can attempt to gain access to the Overseer's office, either by obtaining a key or by lockpicking your way through. Jumping onto the Overseer's terminal, you can listen to a holotape found on it. The tape reveals that Ezra was embezzling funds from the Vault Construction Fund, which also explains why the lower class wing was not finished in time. From here, you can continue questioning the residents, or you can bolt straight to Juliana and accuse her of the murder. But as it turns out, that's not really Juliana. It turns out that we're actually talking to Ezra himself. After Juliana discovered Ezra's embezzlement, she threatened to expose him to the others, but was unable to do so as Ezra would kill her. He then moved her body downstairs from the office, set up the crime scene to fake his own death, and modified his voice modulator to sound just like Juliana. Once the ruse is up, Ezra demands that he either gets to leave scot-free, or you'll have to kill him. Once you've made your decision, report back to Maxwell and you'll be rewarded with some pre-war money, concluding the quest. Now you can also frame Santiago for the murder, with pretty much the same result, but I didn't go this route, mostly because I didn't know you could actually do that until writing the script. A murder mystery quest involving robots will always be a fun sounding idea, and this quest absolutely delivers. I love the different personalities of the robots, especially with Santiago being my personal favorite here. Also, the reveal of Ezra having faked his own death was a fun twist as well. I think the only negative I can say about this quest is that it becomes less of a mystery the more you come back to this quest. It only really works the first time you do it, but despite that, it is still a very fun time. 6. Benign Intervention. If there's one companion in the game that perfectly reflects my type of playstyle, it can't be no one else other than Kate. If there's a lock to pick, I'm gonna pick him. If there's some extortion works I can do, I'm gonna do some extortion. If I can be an asshole to someone who deserves it, I'm gonna be the asshole. And fortunately, Kate is the best companion to raise her affinity with playing this way. The more you travel with Kate, the more she starts to open up to you. From telling you about her time in the combat zone to being sold into slavery by her parents on the day she turned 18, it's only after these occurrences that she will actually beg for your help. Kate is addicted to Psycho, a type of powerful drug that enhances the effectiveness of a person, though by this point the drug is causing Kate genuine harm and she no longer feels the high from it, only taking it because she can't stand the withdrawals. She knows of a vault that could possibly have the literal cure to her addiction, Vault 95. This specific vault has a clean room, a place where you can cure anyone of their addiction. Wanting to even take the risk to get there, Kate is willing to do it even if it means that it would have been all for nothing if it fails. Making your way over to the vault, it has been overran by gunners and their robots, so you're gonna have to battle your way through. Eventually, the two of you will reach a clean room, but Kate seems to have second thoughts. Though Kate knows she has problems, she still questions whether or not this would actually work. If it didn't, she'd remain an addict for the rest of her life, which probably wouldn't last for much longer. Convincing her to see through with this, she'll sit down into the chair, and from here, you can use the terminal to initiate a toxin purge. After the detox, you can talk to her. The detox was a success, and now Kate no longer needs to rely on chems. She will thank you for helping her out, and the quest then concludes. Now, despite me being maybe a little bit biased towards this quest, as Kate is without a question one of my top 3, or rather one of my 2 favorite companions in the game, I also just really like the gameplay alteration that comes from curing her. If you were to take chems or encourage other NPCs to take chems if given the opportunity, Kate would encourage it. But now that she's no longer addicted to chems and know the damage chems can do to you and the others around you, she'll dislike or sometimes hate when you or other people are doing chems. Some may see this as a hindrance, but I really don't. I see this as a fun companion personality change that comes from doing something good. A very fun quest that, shockingly enough, I tend to do every playthrough. 5. The Secret of Cabot House. The third and final quest in the trilogy of the Cabot family quests. After having assured the safety of Imogen and going back to the Cabot house, we learned that Edward went back to the insane asylum in order to prevent raiders from entering the building for whatever reason. Knowing Edward is in deep trouble, Jack sets himself to check in on him and asks her to come along. Traveling over to the asylum, you battle your way through the building until you and Jack reach his office. In his office, Edward can be found wounded but alive. Not wasting any time, however, you and Jack make your way to the basement of the building. Take an elevator to further reach it, and here you can spot a few raiders trying to break Lorenzo Cabot out. Lorenzo is the father of Jack, and as we learn, he possesses psychic abilities such as telekinesis, increased strength, and being able to halt his age. Once you clear out the raiders, Lorenzo will try to convince you to let him out, or you can follow Jack's order and flip the different switches surrounding Lorenzo's room, which will allow Jack to kill Lorenzo using Zeta radiation. If you decide to side with Jack, he will thank you by giving you some caps, and after about 1 in-game week, you can meet with Jack again and he will give you the Lorenzo's artifact gun, a legendary gamma gun that will stun or knock enemies back on a hit. The quest will also conclude after initially talking to Jack. However, if you sided with Lorenzo and let him out of his room, Jack will bolt back to the family home and Lorenzo will do the same. Once there, a fight will break out and you can either side with Jack again, or you can stick with Lorenzo. If you help Lorenzo take care of his family, he will reward you with an endless supply of the mysterious serum. As long as you don't sell one and you don't already have one on you, as Lorenzo will only give you a serum if you don't have any. Talking with Lorenzo after killing his family will also conclude the quest. Quests or missions with multiple outcomes are some of my favorites in gaming, but very few times have rewards from every outcome been worth taking. The serum is without a doubt one of the best healing items in the game, as it will provide not only +5 to strength, but will also give you +50 to damage resistance and will remove 36,000 points of radiation from your system. And the artifact gun, although not my personal favorite in the game, it's a pretty fun weapon, especially since it's got a huge AoE for stunning enemies, and honestly, just completing the quest for this gun is totally worth it. A very fun quest backed with 2 earlier quests that are fine in their own way, but this one is where the light shines the most. 4. Hole in the Wall. After being welcomed into Vault 81, you can donate some blood after talking with Dr. Forsyth. After being outside of the vault for about 24 in-game hours, you can return back and check up with the doctor again. But unfortunately, things went really bad after you left. As it turns out, one of the Charlotte residents named Austin was bitten by a mole rat after he wandered into a secret part of the vault, causing him to fall very ill quickly. What's even worse is that the vault do not have a cure for him readily available. Bobby DeLuca, however, knows about the secret area that Austin was at, so he takes you to the hidden entrance, and from there, you can explore a secret portion of the vault. You'll also be fighting through mole rats and a few turrets and protectrons, but eventually you'll finally come across the room that has the cure inside. Just one issue though, the door is locked from the inside. But as fate would have it, a Miss Nanny bot named Curie is still inside said room. Curie reveals that she has been waiting for Vault Tech security after she placed an emergency call years ago and will open the door for you after you confirm with her that she can leave the room. She will also give you the cure you need as she trusts the cure will be better left in your hands. In this room as well you can find the medicine bobblehead which will make stim packs restore an additional 10% of HP. Once you have the cure, you can take an elevator back to the main part of Vault 81, head back to the medical bay and give the cure to the doctor. Or you could keep the cure for yourself, which will cause Austin to be killed off, and the rest of the vault will have resentment towards you because of it. Once you have made your choice, you will be rewarded with a syringer and your very own room in Vault 81. But the main reward for completing this quest, and one of the best in the game I feel, is that Curie becomes an available companion. Undoubtedly one of the best companions in the game, doing this quest just to get her alone is absolutely worth it, which is not to say that the quest itself isn't also very fun. This quest is also one of the only few times in the series I believe where a choice you make could lead to the death of a child character, which yes is horrible, but since it happens so rarely, it's kind of special? Okay, maybe not that, but maybe more like unique in a way. I think you guys know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, great quest, great rewards, a horrible unique outcome if you take the cure for yourself. Curie is adorable. I have really no bad things to say about this quest. 3. Last voyage of the USS Constitution. After traveling through the Commonwealth, you can spot this huge ship stuck on land having crashed into a building. Talking with Lookout, a Mr. Hand is surveying the outside of the ship, he'll basically tell you to go and talk with the captain. Reaching the top of the ship, you'll meet the captain named Ironsides. But before he can reveal him and his crew's intentions, an attempted ambush by a group of scavengers happen. After taking care of them, Ironsides will reveal that his mission is to return the Constitution to the ocean. But in order to do that, some repairs to the ship needs to be done. Talking with Bosun, a Mr. Handy crewmate, he needs you to replace the ship's old power cables with new ones. After doing so, report back to Busan. Now he needs you to find a new power relay coil to replace the old one with. After doing that, report to Busan again. He'll thank you for your help and will send you to Mr. Navigator, another Mr. Handy crewmate. He needs you to recover the guidance ship that was stolen off them by some scavengers. Fortunately, the location of said scavengers are not too far away from the ship itself. Approaching the group, one of the scavengers named Mandy will explain that their ambush earlier wasn't done on their orders. Mandy will try and talk you into working for them, which you can do, though, spoiler alert, siding with them will result in them turning on you anyway. Anyway, you steal the guidance ship from them, take care of the scavengers, and head back to the ship and install the ship. Talking with Mr. Navigator again, he'll reward you with some caps and then wants you to find a new Poseidon radar transmitter and replace the old one. Now talking with Ironsides, he will reward you with the keys to the captain's quarters. He also wants you to recover the FLL3 turbo pump bearings. After recovering said turbo pump, return back to the ship and install the turbo pump. Now that everything is set, the Constitution is now ready to go, when suddenly another ambush occurs. Per usual, just take care of the scavengers and report back to Ironsides. For your service, he will reward you with the Broadsider, a cannonball launcher that can only be obtained by siding with Ironsides during this quest. As the ship is ready to set sail, he will ask you for one more request, and that is for you to activate the auxiliary power circuits so that the ship can lift off. It will be located on top of a building nearby, so just head up to it, flip the switch, and watch as the ship goes on its way until it crashes into yet another building. The quest does conclude after this crash, though you can pay the ship another visit. Doing so, Ironsides will reward you with the Lieutenant's Hat, another unique item that can only be obtained through siding with Ironsides. The hat provides +1 to your charisma when worn. The quest is super fun. I mean, helping a ship of robots who still speaks like it's the 1800s, the ship actually taking off when it first seems like it wouldn't, only for it to crash into yet another building. Some of the most unique items you can get through this quest. There's really nothing bad I can say about this quest. I guess the only negative thing would be siding with the scavengers, since you're agreeing to kill some of the most unique characters in the game, only to be forced to kill the scavengers in the end anyway. Trust me, just side with Ironsides whenever you do this quest. It's super fun, one of the most unique quests in the game, probably in the entire series actually. 2. Long time coming. If Kate is my favorite companion when it comes to playstyle, then Nick Valentine is my favorite companion when it comes to personality and character. A simp detective that is only half accepted by the people of the Diamond City because he saved the mayor's daughter, Nick is easily one of the best designed characters in the series, no doubt. Something that also makes him a great companion to love is his personal quest, Long Time Coming. Being a synth obviously, Nick possesses occasional flashes of memories from the original Nick's mind, in regards to an old gangster named Eddy Winter. He was one of the biggest crime bosses in Boston before the Great War, who intended on living forever by turning himself into a ghoul. Nick knows that Eddy has hidden himself inside a bunker under a sub-shop he used as a hideout from before the war, but without the correct codes, Nick has no way of entering it. So Nick asks you for your help in order to track down the remaining 9 holotapes that features codes for Eddy's bunker. Nick will give you the only holotape he has with him, and with this, we can travel to the different fixed spots in the game and find the remaining holotapes and discover the whereabouts of the other ones. Once all 10 holotapes have been collected, talk with Nick and give him the holotapes. Nick will direct us to Andrew's station. Inside the station, Nick will guide you to Eddy's bunker. Having the correct combination of codes now, we manage to unlock the bunker, and at last we come face to face with Eddy. After a confrontation between Eddy and Nick, a fight will ensue, ending with Eddy being killed. Having finally gotten the better of Eddy, you and Nick make your way out of the underground. On the surface, you can chat with Nick about his past, with him even getting emotional about everything. Deeply appreciative of your help, Nick's affinity level with you will be maxed out, and you obtain his Close to Metal perk, which gives you the ability to hack terminals and extra time, with the lockout duration reduced by 50%. After chatting with Nick, the quest concludes. Considering how I feel about Nick to begin with, this quest was amazing to me. I know some people are probably going to be bothered by the fact that Eddy played practically no role in anything until Nick asked for your help to find him, but to be honest, that has never bothered me. Maybe it's because I like Nick's character too much, I don't really know. Nick is pretty stone-faced most of the time with the occasional humor breaking out, so to see him act the way that he did was probably more of an emotional reaction from the old Nick from the pre-war era. Nick's perk is also a very nice one in my opinion. Plus I forgot to mention this, but Eddy also has a legendary snub-nosed pistol on him that deals 50% more limb damage. I really enjoyed this quest, one of my personal favorites in the entire series, but there was just one other quest that beat out Long Time Coming. A quest that I'm sure many of you Fallout 4 players expected to be within the top spots, but honestly, I think that shows you how great this last quest entry is. And finally, what I believe to be the best quest in the game, number 1 is the Silver Shroud. Making your way over to the memory den, you can enter a room and meet a ghoul by the name of Kent Connolly. Turns out Kent is a huge fan of the Silver Shroud Radio, a broadcast looping series of old episodes from the Silver Shroud Radio show. In fact, Kent loves it so much that he wants the Silver Shroud to not only return, but also become real. He has already made his own custom submachine gun to be used, but still needs a genuine costume itself. He knows it's still in Boston, located over at the Hubrix comic store. Agreeing to retrieve the costume, you head over to the shop, clear the place of the ghouls, and obtain the costume. You can also find a photo, a script, and a replica of the Silver Shroud submachine gun that you can take and give to Kent for some additional caps. After obtaining the costume, head back to Kent and give it to him. Unfortunately, Kent believes he's not Silver Shroud material, so he asks you if you can be the Silver Shroud instead. Agreeing to this, he'll give you the hat and the costume back with added bonuses of reducing damage taken by humans by 15%. He will also give you some calling cards that you can drop on criminals that you kill. Tuning into the Silver Shroud radio, you can be alerted by Kent in regards to nearby criminals. The first criminal is a man by the name of Wayne Delancey, who murdered a woman and her child over a few caps. Taking care of him, you can drop a calling card on him. The second criminal is AJ, a chem peddler who deals chems to children. Wanting not to deal with you, he offers caps in your silence, which you can accept or decline, which will force you to kill him and his goons. After killing him, drop a calling card on his body as well. The third target is Kendra, an assassin whose location is only known by Whitechapel Charlie, the Mr. Handy bartender found at the third rail. Talking with him, you can get Kendra's location from him. She will be found over at the Water Street apartments. Killing some of the raiders inside, you will also confront Kendra before killing her as well. Once she is dead and having dropped another calling card, you can loot a contract off of her body for someone named Shelly Tiller, found over at the National Guard training yard that you can kill and reap the rewards for. Once Kendra is taken care of, the radio will inform you that Hancock wants to talk with you. He is personally hiring you to take care of 2 members of a gang working under someone named Sinjin. These members are named Northy and Smiling Kate. Northy is no big deal, as even though he has some bodyguards, he will pretty much not fight back and is easily killable. Smiling Kate can be found not too far away from Bunker Hill, and although she puts up a better fight, she is also very easily dispatched off. Once they are dead, head back to the memory den, where Irma will be in a panic. It turns out that Kent was kidnapped by Sinjin and his gang. Sinjin will be found over at the Milton General Hospital. Fighting and searching your way through the building, you'll eventually come face to face with Sinjin and the remaining members of his group. If you manage to pass a speed check, you can convince Sinjin to keep Kent alive, but failing will result in Kent's death. A fight between you and Sinjin and his group will ensue and you're forced to kill them. After killing them, if you saved Kent, you can talk to him and he'll pretty much announce his retirement from the whole Silver Shroud radio thing. After this, or if you didn't save Kent to begin with, go and have a chat with Hancock. He'll thank you for your help, rewarding you with some caps and concluding the quest. Also, if you did manage to save Kent, he can further upgrade the Silver Shroud costume so that it also has the effect of providing additional points to your agility and perception. This quest is awesome. From the Silver Shroud costume, to talking like the Silver Shroud during dialogues, to the calling cards, to that contract you can choose to do or not, becoming the talk of the town, there's so much about this quest that I just love. I also love the little detail that certain dialogue options outside of this quest can be provided if you use the full Silver Shroud gear. It's a small but an awesome detail. From how the quest is structured and the different unique raiders you meet in said quest, it is easily one of the best the entire series has ever seen, and in my opinion, it is the best quest in Fallout 4. And with that, that is all of the 168 quests in Fallout 4 ranked from worst to best, in my personal opinion. Considering that this list was put together all by myself and reflects how I feel about certain quests in the game, my list will look completely different from yours, so I would love to see your own rankings down in the comments below. And hey, maybe you disagree with some of these entries and I'm completely dead wrong about something, in which case, leave that in comments as well. I'm not going to spend too much time on this intro right here. I just wanted to say thank you for watching this video. It took quite some time to put this together, but I did have a lot of fun doing so. So if you could, maybe leave a like on the video. That'd be pretty cool. You can choose to subscribe or not. I don't really upload much to begin with. But thank you for watching anyway, I guess. Bye.